Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Gamers of the Lost Spot podcast. My name is Darren Whittam and joining me this week is the other spark on the pod. It's our golden tonsil himself, the voice of video games, the talking tech titan, Antony Chesson. Hello.
I love that. Now that is what I want on my business card. Thank you very much. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very good indeed. How's your week been, sir?
Well, quite funny you should say about Tech Titan. This week, it's been quite. I've pulled the trigger on a new gadget. So I pulled the trigger on this week in the UK. Our kind of television networks, our television distributor is called Sky, and this week Sky had the put on sale Sky Q. Now Sky Q is this kind of next gen Sky box. I mean, Sky's been around for absolute donkey's years, and Sky, they released the new one. They released Sky Q, which is, it's still, you kind of still got a dish on the side of your house, but that's just for your main box. The rest is distributed around your house via your Wi-Fi, so via your internal network, and I've just gone bonkers. It's absolutely superb.
Wow.
Looks incredible. I mean, they've updated the menu system. It looks very sexy. So, I've bought what they call Sky Q Silver, which gives you like this 2 terabyte box where everything comes into. And then I've bought 2 mini boxes, which one will be in the living room and one will be in the bedroom. So, and this is just fantastic.
Cool. Wow. Why silver and not gold? You seem like a
don't know.
Gold kind of guy to me. Or was there no gold on offer?
No, there was no gold, no platinum. I mean, when they said silver, I was like, hold up a second, I want to go higher than that. But there was no, that was the highest they go. So it's really cool because the living room, I mean, obviously where we watch a majority of all of the movies and stuff are down in the movie room. But the living room, we were stuck to a certain configuration because there was cables coming in from the Skybox. But with these new mini boxes, it means we can actually, what we want to do is flip the living room around. This way we can do that because the Skybox that we have is not dependent on a cable that's going to be attached to the satellite dish that's on the outside of the house.
Wow, that's interesting. So I wonder if your internal network gets busy with distributing the programs, your viewing for Sky, would that then have an effect on your external speeds coming in? You know, if you're doing a big download as well, with that sort of, because I don't know if you're into, I suppose they put it into the routers to sort of prioritise one or the other maybe, but I wonder if it'd make your viewing get a bit clippy.
Yeah, absolutely. It would like degrade the viewing. Now, the one thing that it does do is it pushes Wi-Fi through your electrics. So it does. There's a certain term that escapes me right now, but it's like electric-based Wi-Fi. So each box, each of these little mini boxes, which I've got 2 at the moment, they are also like a Wi-Fi hotspot as well. So they feed off your router. They're also a Wi-Fi hotspot to enhance the Wi-Fi in your house. So I'm hoping all of that would help. And don't forget, I'm getting kind of anywhere between kind of 69 and 80 gig kind of download speed. So I'd have to do a lot in my house in order to start blocking any of that.
Wow, 69 to 80 meg, surely?
80 meg, yeah, sorry.
Oh,
so yeah,
no, I haven't got then. I was like, wow.
I haven't got a pipe. I'm not like a corporation. Yeah,
you're a country.
Yeah, a little small country in Tunbridge Wells. So I'm quite excited about it. I did have to switch provider. Sky were being a bit cheeky because they didn't really say that. They didn't really say that you had to be on Sky broadband. But what they're basically saying is, at the moment, they only get it working. You can only have it if you are on Sky broadband. So I switched provider. I'm still getting the same 69 to 80 meg. I'm getting the same kind of speeds, but I've just switched provider to be on Sky.
Where were you with before?
BT.
Okay, so you went from BT to Sky, but retained your speed. Was it a painless switch?
It is a painless switch. I've already had emails. I've had a hello from Sky and a sorry to see you go from BT already. I'm getting switched over on the 23rd of February, and Sky Q, I get Sky Q on the release date, which is the 1st of March.
So what's the benefit? What was the law that made you switch ISP for your Sky viewing?
Well, because I wanted this Sky Q, because I really wanted it, because it's going to solve the issue that I had about switching the living room around, because, I'm moving all my desk and everything back up to the office this weekend, so I'm moving all that up, and then we wanted to switch the living room around, and this is the answer. And also, Nicola, when she kind of goes to bed on a Sunday, and maybe I'm still gaming, she's always like, oh, there's nothing on, because the Skybox that we have in the bedroom, doesn't have like a hard drive. It isn't Sky Plus, it's just a normal Sky. So with this one, you could be watching a movie downstairs in the movie room, you go, right, I'm off to bed now, go upstairs to the bedroom, and then continue watching from where you left off.
I like that. So are they stopping the sordid practice of like £10 extra per month per room, that multi-room stuff that they do?
Well, yes. I mean, it's
diabolical, that. It's ridiculous. It really was.
Absolutely. I mean, the great thing about Sky Q, and this isn't a AV Forums podcast now, but the great thing about Sky Q is that by doing all of this, by buying 2 mini boxes and this silver box, my monthly payment has actually dropped by £20.
Wow.
Because I'm doing away with the multi-room. Yeah. Now, the one of the draws for Sky Q is 4K or UHD, Ultra HD. So because they're going to get a new TV in the living room and replace my other one downstairs. The guy who kind of sorts out all my AV, Just Add Popcorn, a great little company that kind of does bespoke installations. They're going to get me a couple of new TVs. So it will be 4K. So with Sky Q, when that happens in the summer, that will enable 4K. Now, I am expecting a £10 hike when they turn on Ultra HD. So, because they did it with 3D, they did it with everything else. So I am expecting a bit of a hike. But at the moment, it's saving me about £20 a month.
Wow. So you upgraded to Sky Q, and you've pulled the trigger on 2 new 4K tellies.
Well, yeah, Sky did an announcement last Wednesday, and they said these are the TVs. Don't have a release date or a price yet, but I know the ones I want.
Wow. Will your existing routers be able to manage and govern the speed required on your internal network for 4K streaming around the house?
Yes, because all you need is 25 meg for 4K. Is that all? Yeah, that's it.
Wow. And is it going to be true 4K? Because they never did 1080, did they? When they released HD, as far as I'm aware, it was never true 1080p HD that they streamed or beamed into your house. I think it was it topped at 720p. Maybe it was a little bit more, but I don't think it ever touched 1080p. But you might be able to correct me there. But as far as I was aware,
Sky runs in 720p or 1080i. Were the two that they ran. They are saying that when you get when the UHD is released, it will be pure UHD running at a resolution. At the moment, like I say, I get Amazon and Netflix are both running in 4K and both run at that resolution, and they run fine. When I'm watching Daredevil or anything like that, it just kind of runs without ease.
Wow.
With ease, I should say.
And do you find that, because I've been reading a thing, I saw something that I was reading over the last week about, there's a trend now in the States, a lot of people are cable cutting, and they're calling them cable cutters because they're abandoning their cable provider. It's mainly cable rather than satellite over in the US, and people in their droves are leaving this trend there's sort of been a traditional thing for years in the States, and they're leaving it because they've finally sort of discovered that they're going to use the internet to consume their TV. And the reason that I think they're leaving it in their droves and it's getting communicated so sort of quickly and widespread now is that they're frustrated with something that I've found myself in the past with TV providers, is they bundle. You can't just get what you want. You've got to have it bundled with a load of stuff you don't want. And I think finally the American guys have just been saying that's enough. So they've decided to use, I don't know, like Netflix route or using HTPCs, that's home theatre PCs set up using the internet to consume. And they're just basically cutting the cable away. So, yeah, it's interesting. So do you find that your bundle just gives you what you want, or do you get frustrated that they're also giving you a load of stuff in there that you kind of don't want, but they sort of pad out and justify your monthly payment with some extra stuff that you probably don't need?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, to get 3D, I had to have sports. I don't really watch it a lot. I watched Formula 1 at the weekend. On Sunday, I watched the first quarter of the Super Bowl. It was a bit late for me. I needed to go to work the next day, so I watched the first. So I kind of watch sport every now and then, but for me, I'm more kind of movies and 3D. So to have 3D, I had to have sports. So they did bundle that in. But I think, back to your point with the cable cutters, I think a lot of people are cutting cable because you can get apps now. If you look at the Xbox One, taking it back to games, if you look at Xbox One, you'll see that they have a HBO, they have a Hulu Plus and all of that. So you don't need to buy this, that, and that just to get HBO. HBO's got its own app, and that's why things like Apple TV, like Xbox, PlayStation 4 are perfect for those cable cutters because it gives them everything they want is apt. And I've looked at it once. I've looked at it once to kind of like ditch Sky and just go with Apple TV or something like that and buy the TV shows that I want. But to be quite honest with you, I absolutely love I love the Sky Plus. I love being able to just record series link from my phone, and it's ease. And I do like Sky kind of being in one place. And also, if I was going in that model where I'd go to iTunes and go, yeah, right, okay, I want The Good Wife, and I want Blue Bloods, and I want Fargo, then all I'm doing is subscribing to the TV shows that I know. But with Sky, I get to go, well, okay, Vinyl starts next week, I'll see what that's like, and I give it the 3-episode Chess and Rule, where I wouldn't be able to do that. I guess I could pay for it in Apple TV, but I've just kind of weighed it up, and I just thought Sky for me is the better option.
Yeah, and you're like me, you're totally into the tech, so it makes perfect sense that you'd go for the 4K Sky Q option. And it's interesting you said that there about the television becoming apt and the consumerism of it becoming apt. And that's sort of the best argument or the best demonstration of something we've sort of hypothesized before, and what Michael Pachter said about consoles ceasing to exist. So if you imagine that Xbox or that PS4 dashboard, but it's not from your console, it's from your it's on your smart TV. And just in the same way as you guys that have discovered that they can go to Hulu or Crunchyroll or whatever on their consoles, then there would be another app, wouldn't there, on your smart TV? It'd have all those, it'd have Netflix, and then also you'd have an app PS4, and then you'd have your other app Xbox, and that could be the future that we've sort of talked about, couldn't it? So you'll just have your games delivered in that way. You'll have your TVs, you'll just have apps for everything. You'll have your Netflix, you'll have whatever, your Fox, your HBO, and then you move on to your PS4, and then that will open your PS4 dashboard, but not with the aid of a hardware box, just piped in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm. It's like Apple TV. Apple TV is exactly the same. You have this box. It's a multifunctional box, and there are games on there as well. My brother, he got an Xbox One recently. He got the Forza Xbox One, and he keeps commenting about how many apps are on there, and how it's not just a games console, and how he now has that plugged into his TV all the time. It's his go-to device. So he kind of bought it because he wanted to play Forza, wanted to play a bit of Star Wars Battlefront with me, and it's now he's just like, there's just so much on there, and whenever I see him online, he's very rarely playing games. He's actually using it to consume things like Netflix and Amazon and YouTube and things like that. And I think he was just a little bit taken back by it all.
Yeah, it's truly become his home media hub.
Absolutely. I did tell him that, you can actually, because he has Sky as well, you can actually plug Sky straight into your Xbox One, and then you can get to it via there by going to TV. And I think that might have been a little bit too much for him. Might have blown his mind.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. You blew his mind with that, man. Yeah, I've never tried the pass-through capabilities with my Xbox One, but I've got the TV tuner, the USB TV tuner.
Right.
And that's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
But I never watch TV, but I like it as an addition, and I know that many people, I think, do watch TV still, in its sort of natural plumbed in form. I think it might be fading as time goes on, but yeah, that's really cool.
Absolutely. I think for me, the two TV habits, and then we'll get on to gaming. The two TV habits that I've definitely kind of seen of changes. A, I never watch anything live apart from the Great British Bake Off. Is the only thing I watch live, and B, I prefer the Netflix model that kind of here's all of the episodes of that season. There's a couple of TV shows that we're watching at the moment. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Good Wife. There's a few where I could just sit there and I could just binge watch the rest of them. You know, when they finish, like, I don't want it to finish. Gotham season 2 is another one of those. You know, I'm absolutely loving Gotham at the moment. It's taken a dark turn and it's awesome. And I could happily just sit there one weekend and just watch all of it. You know, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got Daredevil season 2 happening. You know, and that is kind of like book out that weekend because we're watching Daredevil. You know, and I love that. I think it's great to have them all there. I mean, obviously I can wait on my Sky if I want to, but a lot of the time I want to be kind of part of that noise and not have episodes spoiled by, you know, the likes of Bleeding Cool or IGN. So I try to keep up with the episodes before they get spoiled.
Yeah, I can't watch anything piecemeal anymore. I have to wait until it's finished.
Yes.
So yeah, Game of Thrones, I just have to go dark on it for, is it 12 episodes? I think it's 12 episodes, so 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think it's 12. So I just try my best to ignore the spoilers, and I suppose I can start watching it after, not the second to last, really, that's pushing it, the penultimate episode, once that's aired. Right. Because I'll just cane them through a week, and you know, I'll be ready for the last one in no time. You know, especially with only 12, you can get through them quick. They're like an hour each. So yeah, it was ever since I watched, I think it was the second season of Lost, and I was bang into Lost after the first episode, and we will get to games soon. After the first season of Lost, I was like really hooked, and I watched the second series, and I was that addicted that I watched it week to week. And I don't know if you'll remember, if you watched Lost at that time when it was first aired here, it was at the time of the writers' strike that hit in the middle of the series, and then we had the Super Bowl that interrupted it as well for about 2 weeks. So it was just completely perforated, and I was going balmy. And then I watched the end, which I thought was a complete anticlimax, and after that I washed my hands of Lost and never watched it again. In fact, we had a little ceremony because we were having a party watching the finale for the series, and we all got more, and we were all shaking our heads as this episode drew out, and we were saying, if we don't get some answers by the end of this episode, we're never watching it again. And we made a pact, and it ended, and we were all furious. So we all marched into the kitchen, and we soaped up our hands and got a big old lather, and we wrote Lost on our hands, and we washed it away. So we really did wash our hands of Lost, and that was it. And I never watched it again. And I remember when it got to the end, I sort of it said Lost in 5 minutes. And I watched it, and I said to my colleagues at work who were saying it was brilliant, I said, I just watched Lost in 5 minutes on YouTube, and it was too long, in my opinion. I didn't like it.
Wow.
Well, why was I even talking about that then? I can't remember.
That's just incredible.
Oh, yeah, so after that, I was like, I can never watch things piecemeal again.
Yes.
So I always wait now until I can either watch it via Netflix, or I just have to wait until I've enough episodes have aired and I've got all the recordings so that I can watch them all back to back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't stand it.
Games. What have you been playing this week?
Me, I have been playing some fantastic games. I've been playing Crypt of the Necro Dancer, which came out on PS4 on 2nd or 3rd.
Tuesday, yeah. So what's it like? Because I know James was talking about this. I think it was my friend Will, wasn't it? He recommended this ages ago, and it wasn't out on PS yet. So what's it like? Should I pick it up?
Well, I think so, yeah. I actually got the book from James, I think he mentioned it to us on the podcast on one of these gaming party evenings he had. And he mentioned it, and we were like, what is it? He's like, have you heard of it? And we were both like, nah. And he elaborated, and it's really cool. It's a top-down roguelike. You play the character Cadence, who has fallen down into the underworld. I think she's looking for her father, and she's been struck down and fallen into the underworld and been resurrected by what I can only presume is the Necrodancer, and her heart is pounding, do, 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 to the beat, and it means she can only move to the beat. She can only move to the beat of the music in the game. There must be music playing in the underworld, and she has to move to it in order to progress through the underworld to find the end of the quest that she's on, which is to find her father, I believe. So it's just really cool. So it's top down, and you move you take turns from square to square, moving up, down, left, right, and it's like a rhythm action game, but a really great take on it. So it's like a top down roguelike. You can sort of imagine. I this game's just escaped me. Binding of Isaac, that's it. Sort of imagine Binding of Isaac, but it's locked down. It's that kind of viewpoint, but you can only move a turn at a time. And if you don't move to the beat, you lose your multiplier. And your multiplier is handy because if you destroy enemies, you acquire gold. And the higher your multiplier, the more gold you get. You can spend the gold in the shops to get better weapons. All sorts, a great array of power-ups and weapons and stuff that you can get. And the thing about it is every enemy in the game is dancing to the music, is moving, and they've all got their own pattern. If you learn the pattern of each enemy, there's no reason that you could get hurt, really. So you could, with skill, go through the whole game unscathed. But when many different types attack you at once, it's very difficult to sort of keep your rhythm. Move up, left, down, left. Destroy the enemies using that in time to the beat and not get hit at the same time. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but it's a roguelike, so every time you play it, the map's different each time. And it's just a joy to play. It's a great novel twist on a rhythm action game. Really cool. The music's great. Soundtrack's great. It's a little indie game. How much was it? I think it's on 10% discount at the moment for the rest of this month. So I got it for about £8.59 on the PlayStation Store. And yeah, it's well worth a look. As a small diversion, it's no Fallout, it's no Arkham Knight, but as a little indie diversion, it's a fantastic game, and I'd recommend it to anyone to pick up and have a go. It's only a few quid. What is it? A couple of pints. I've already played it longer than I'd spend in the pub with a couple of beers. I really enjoy it. It's a great game. It's just good, and the music gets into you. It gets its hooks into you, and you do sort of get into this zone with it. It's funny. It's like when I'm playing it, I sort of go, "Oh, I've got it! I've cracked it!" And I'm moving to the rhythm, and I'm destroying a few enemies. And as soon as I think, "Oh wow, I've cracked it," it just all falls apart. I lose my rhythm. A skeleton pounces on me, and it's just great. It's really good. I think there's like 4 or 5 zones in the game. I've only got to zone 2 so far. But it's just a real pleasure to play, and the fact that it's a roguelike and it changes each time, so it's nice and fresh each go you have. It's just really cool, and there's several different modes as well in there. There's modes where you don't have to move to the beat, which I've had a go at, but it seems to me to defeat the object because it sort of teaches you when you first play it that you're moving to the beat. That's the idea of the game, and I don't know. For me, it seems to sort of ruin it a bit, not moving to the beat, or maybe it's more challenging not to move to the beat because you've sort of been conditioned to move to the beat at the start of the game, and you can play You can play local 2-player on it as well, which is quite fun, but a bit chaotic.
I bet that sounds awesome. I might have to check it out. Again, it's kind of something that we hark back to kind of again and again. It's a shame there isn't a demo because it sounds like it's something that you kind of need to just like see if it works for you. So this is what PS4 and Vita as well.
That's right. It? Yeah, and it's cross-play, cross-save, which is pretty cool. Right. So that'd suit you down to the ground, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's just a great game. And I was umming and ahhing about getting it on PC, but at the moment my PC sort of squirreled away in the office, so I didn't really want to play it there. And then I was just looking online, and saw that it was out, and I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" And I was sold on it, from the description that James gave. I was really excited about it, and just the title. It's a game where I'm sort of sold just on the title, Crypt of the Necrodancer. I love it, and you got to dance. It's just great. So I've been really enjoying that, and it's a game that do keep going back to. I've also been playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, which has been going on for a few weeks. I've completed that now.
Yeah. So you finished it. You completed
complete
it.
Story. Yeah. Rolled the credits on it. Yeah.
What did you think? Were you happy with? Because I really liked the. I thought it kind of wrapped up quite well. What did you think?
I really liked it. I thought it was great. Yeah. I'm really glad that they rebooted the series. I think that, this is sort of... The last one was called the Definitive Edition, wasn't it? The Xbox One version of the Tomb Raider reboot was called the Definitive Edition. I'd say this is kind of the definitive Tomb Raider that we've had since the series started, really, because it's back to the roots, isn't it? It's a lot more tombs, a lot more puzzles, which I like. It's funny, I didn't enjoy the gunplay half as much as I enjoyed the exploring and puzzle solving. The adventuring. I just really loved that. Loved the snow mechanics and the animations or expressions of freezing cold. She's shivering there on the mountainsides. I really liked it. I liked the adventure. Quite liked the story. Yeah, it was good. I really liked it. I found the very end boss a little bit annoying. The bit, you got to distract him.
Yes.
It didn't sit well with me, that. I was like, oh, this is a bit boring. I just thought, I don't know, I didn't like that bit too much. And I did find that my one gripe with it was I'm so used to be able to sort of toggle being in stealth or not, but by just toggling crawl, do you know what I mean, or toggling a stealth mode. I didn't like how it automatically did the stealth for you, because I died a few times because I wasn't in stealth when I wanted to be, because when enemies are there, she'll automatically crawl, won't she? But sometimes she wouldn't go into crawl mode when I wanted her to be, and I'd get seen, and then it'd all kick off, and then I'd have to pause it and go to the last checkpoint, and that happened quite a lot. But it's a small gripe, really. It's a great game. Really enjoyed it. Lots of adrenaline pumping scenes with all the, just the spectacle. Some great set pieces, and it's great because the E3 bit that I really loved, that clip, that's right at the beginning, and there's just loads more of that type of adventuring and that type of gaming throughout the whole game. And
yes,
and it's quite a lengthy adventure as well. And then, as you've said before, you've got the expeditions after that, and I don't think I've got many tombs. I think I finished it with about 68-70%. So plenty more for me to explore. So yeah, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that I found that kind of there's just so much to play. I thought I finished the game and kind of came away, but I know there's still a lot more to do. If ever I want to have a bit of a tomb raid and have a bit of a puzzle, then I do know they're there. It's sitting there on my hard drive waiting for me to kind of jump back in. But I do feel like I've left a lot of tombs undiscovered.
Yeah, and like you say, there's tombs there though to go and see at your leisure. And I liked it that after the credits rolled, you got a little bit of extra story. But then I sort of didn't want to go into the expeditions straight away, because I sort of thought, all I want to do is go and find the tombs. So I did continue to just see what happened. And usually in games of that ilk, when you press continue, it just puts you to the save point that was just before the point of no return, if you like, before the last boss, doesn't it? And this didn't. It put you back to like the main village that you sort of end up visiting in the game, and you had a conversation with one of the characters there, and she sort of said, "Yeah, there's still a lot to do," and then it just opened up, and I thought, "Oh, that's a really nice touch," because it actually fitted in as if like the story's ended, but there's still stuff to do, instead of just being fast travel from the checkpoint before the end of the game. So it carried on as if it has been completed. The characters in the game world acknowledged that the main story's been completed, but you're still free to explore, and I thought that was a really neat touch.
No, that's really cool. So do you think you go back? Would you jump into the DLC? I know you're not really a DLC kind of guy, but they've got the Baba Yaga DLC. I think that's out now.
It is, yeah. It popped up while I was playing it. I mean, I just said I can be tempted by a title, and the Baba Yaga title makes me want to put my hand in my pocket just for that. But I doubt it. Because it was great and everything, but I must admit, if I'm absolutely honest with myself, I think, and it's been a while since I played it, so I've probably got a bit of nostalgia rose-tinted glasses going on, but for me, Uncharted still stands a bit above the experience I had with Tomb Raider. So, because I'm looking forward so much to Uncharted 4, I don't want to oversaturate myself with that type of genre at the moment, so I'll save myself from the DLC. I don't know if I'll play it very much now, actually. I've done the story, and I've said before, haven't I, that once I've done the story, it's sort of like I'll come away. I wish, in a way, that once you completed it, you didn't have to explore to find the tombs that you've missed. I wish there was just a list and you could just pick them. That'd be quite good.
And just take you straight there and just do whatever puzzle they have to hold.
Because some of the puzzles were great fun.
Yeah, I mean, there is a challenge mode as well, isn't there? Which I think you pointed out to me when I was playing. I think there is a challenge mode that you can do, but there's not tombs. There's kind of different set pieces that you have to go through. I think that's kind of from the main menu.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think there's like sort of a time thing, and you can get cards. You can buy cards with in-game currency or obviously real money, and then they can give you different perks that will contribute or take away a percentage of your final score. So, like, I was looking at these card sets, and like one of them was like, and all enemies have big heads, but take less damage in the body. But obviously it's easier to headshot them with the big head, and I think that was then minus 5% of your final score. So there's a massive array of different cards that you can get and apply to your challenge set pieces, or your challenge walkthroughs, or your sort of competitive challenge goes on it. And I thought that was a really interesting slant on it. But I was just like, I've sort of done a level. I don't want to do the level again. For me, I was like, I'm content when I've done the level. So unless you were fiercely competitive and said, "Oh, look, Daz, I've done it in this time, beat that," I probably wouldn't be bothered. I wasn't fired enough to try and, because it's sort of an adventure game like that. It's not arcadey to me, so I don't get that drive to think, "Oh, I've got to run through it," and do it in a certain time, because I don't know. It's all about the spectacle. I mean, some of the levels. The times of my levels were ridiculous because I'm just stood there zooming in on the textures of the snow and ice for much too long than is healthy. Just looking, going, "Oh, look at that. I love the way the ice glistens." Like Lara stood there freezing cold. You can see her shivering and the smoke coming out of her mouth. And I'm just there making her stand knee deep in snow, just enjoying the way that it sort of crumbles and falls around her legs.
You're a monster.
I am a monster. A poor girl.
But I said that, when I was playing it, you kind of see just kind of Lara kind of standing or sitting by a fire shivering, and it just looked so good. It looked amazing. I'll tell you what was interesting. One of the guys who I'm playing Division with, one of my friends, Manny, he was listening to the podcast last week when we were talking about 4K streaming of games, where I said I couldn't find any decent streams, and he sent me a 4K version of Tomb Raider. He was showing off some of his Tomb Raider skills, and he sent me he uploaded a little bit of their 4K content, and you think it looks nice on Xbox, you could suddenly see it on there, and it's just like, wow. He did these things where he was like standing in the middle of a forest, and he would just slowly pan round, and you just see the sun beaming through. It was amazing. It was really good. It was a kind of, and then it kind of sent me a message saying, "Are you tempted?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so tempted to get a 4K PC right now."
Wow.
It was just, but it looked amazing. But it looks incredible on Xbox. But when you get it on PC on the 4K, oh my god! And I came across that with a game that I was playing as well, which I'll get to in a bit. But come on, Des, the last one that you've been playing. I can see it in the show notes.
I've been playing Life is Strange. I started that.
Oh,
so
yes.
I came to a crossroads because I finished Tomb Raider, and this was only, I suppose, last night or the night before. And I was like, right, okay, where do I go? Because obviously there's some big hitters that have just come out. We've got Unravel and Firewatch, and they were sort of like chasing my, sort of biting at my ankles. And I was like, I should. And my sort of the angel on my shoulder was like, you should get them. They're the newest games. You need to get them. You need to talk about them on the podcast. You've got to get them. And I was kind of like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I do want them and everything. But Life is Strange had been sort of infecting me more and more since we've talked about it. And, I gave you that choice, didn't I? I think it was last week, you and James. And it was like, well, what would you give me to play if it was The Witness or Life is Strange? And you both clearly, it was kind of, you said it was a tough decision, but kind of you were both like, really, there was no qualms in it. You were just like, yeah, if you had to choose, it's got to be Life is Strange. So that's what I had to choose. And so I embarked on it. I did a little bit of looking into it. It's out on PS3 and Xbox 360 as well as PS4 and Xbox One. And you can play a free trial just to get a taster of it before you commit to the game. So you don't even have to buy, though the one episode's only $3.99, you can get a free taster. So I just thought, let me see how this works. So I got the free taster and played it through, and it sets the scene really well. And like when I got to the end of the taster, which isn't that long actually, it was quite surprising. It was like shorter than most demos, but it was enough to give you a pretty much rounded understanding of how the game would be.
Right.
And I was like, well, there's no question with this. I'm buying it. So I just went straight to the shop and bought the season pack, because I think it's $3.99 per episode, or it's $15.99 for all 5. And I thought that was, that's a really good deal. So I bought it, and then I was thinking, right, how is the game going to handle this? Is it going to make me replay what I've just played, or is it going to be nice and elegant and just carry on? And so I went to the store, bought it, and as part of downloading the free trial, it did download it all, which I thought was actually good, because you're ready and poised to get it. And so I went back to the game, And it still didn't say anything. It didn't say, carry on or continue. It just said play trial. So I closed the game and I thought, oh no, there's a chance here it's going to make me play it all again. But then, so I quit the game, restarted it. It said continue, and it continued exactly from where I'd left off with the free trial. So there was no time wasted, which was really good. And so I leapt into the world of photography student Max and her world of teen angst and time bending. And I haven't played very much yet. I haven't completed episode 1 yet because I got too tired last night. But I probably played it. I must have played it for like a couple of hours, an hour and a half, couple of hours, which is weird because that's probably what the episode would last. But maybe I was just like walking around. I like the aesthetic. It did put me in mind of The Witness in a way. That sort of very bright, colourful aesthetic that it's got, and sort of a simple style, isn't it?
Yes. And
I was sold on the trial, and I'm convinced I'm going to absolutely love it. So that's my game at the moment. I'm completely hooked already after an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's brilliant, and it's funny because I've been hearing about it for quite a few months, and it was you and James that sort of clinched the deal with me. I was like, I've got to get this, and so that was the path I had to take. I felt I didn't take the podcasting choice so much this time. I took the gamer's choice, which kind of it's the same. It's kind of the same.
Well, exactly. A good choice it is too. That'll be really cool. Maybe we'll get James on and we'll have our own little kind of Life is Strange spoiler cast where we could just talk openly about it, because we have kind of danced around it quite a bit, but it's just fantastic. I mean, one of the things that I fell foul to was I didn't take pictures of things. Now, while you're kind of walking around as Max, there's the ability to, if you're kind of looking around, you'll get a little bee will pop up and you can take a picture, and every time you take a picture you'll get an achievement for that. So if you want to kind of get if you want to rack up some achievements while you're playing it, look out for that while you're looking around. You probably already have some already.
I've taken a few, and it's just really good. I took a few pictures, and I thought it struck a chord really well for what it must like. I mean, I don't know because I'm not a teenager these days, anymore. It's been a while since I was a teenager, but it made me feel that it was a good emulation of what it must be like to be sort of a lonely teenager in that situation in a college in America. It really made me feel. I turned around to Claire and I said, something. This is what it's like, and I think they set the tone so perfectly, so sweetly.
Yes.
And I think the defining moment that sold me was when, and I hope you remember this bit, because it's right at the beginning of the game. You walk out of the classroom, and then she puts her earphones in, and it starts with this tune. And I mean, it's got to be very subjective, but I instantly sort of thought it's a bit of a miserable tune. I'm a sucker for miserable songs, and I was like, I love this tune. This is great. And then her putting the earbuds in, the tune started as if she's listening to it, and she's just in a populated sort of corridor in the school, and then the title comes up, Life is Strange. Fantastic title sequence. While the game is live. I love it when the title sequence is when the game is live. The first one that I remember is Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, where you sort of get out of the water and you've infiltrated Shadow Moses, and you go up in the lift and it goes Metal Gear Solid. And this came up. Life is a completely different mood. Life is Strange. It's playing this sort of melancholy music, and you just walked down the corridor and you were free to look at the people and sort of hear her internal monologue, should you choose, about the characters in the game. And I was just like, I love this. I instantly love this now. I've got to get it. So I was sold at that point, which wasn't very far in, and it was just orchestrated so perfectly for me. I just loved it. It sucked me into the game. A lot of it's funny because in the old days, years and years and years ago, games that didn't have so much direct gameplay would be more sneered upon, but the execution of these days, I think they've just gone to a different level, and I love it. I mean, I used to like Dragon's Lair anyway, so I liked games where you didn't have so much input, because I've always been a bit of a graphics tart. But this isn't that, it isn't like Until Dawn graphically, but there's definitely soul. There's definitely soul in this game, and it reached out and touched mine really quickly, so I'm quite smitten.
Yeah, that's just fantastic. I mean, it's quite funny when you mentioned that, because when you were saying there was one scene, I was just about to say, was it that one where you're walking down the corridor? So, because I think that was the one that
got you as well, did it?
Gave me goosebumps. Absolutely, it got me. You know what? I say I was got before the title sequence appeared, and then what happens afterwards was just fantastic. I mean, they swear like a trooper in that game, and they use Hella a little bit too much. But I've been told by the kids that's what the kids use.
Oh, it's not, is it? See, I thought that was the bit of embellishment, but there was a bit where you went into her dormitory, and it just gave you a choice to sort of lie on the bed, and I put the music player on, and then it was just like, do you want to lie on the bed? And I thought, yeah, I will, and she just sat there, a bit morose, and lay on the bed, and I could totally relate to being a teenager and doing that. And I thought, I don't mind that I'm actually not playing this game at the moment, because I'm watching her do this. It's like I've got agency to sort of solicit this action from the character, and I feel that it's completely right. I feel that I'm getting privy to see what it's like to be a teenager, again. And it really felt exactly like, when you're feeling just a bit melancholy when you're young and stuff. And it just struck a chord with me there as well. And I was like, and I said to Claire, I said, this is what Sam's going to be like, and I said, it's really weird to think of like Sam, not because he's obviously only little at the moment, and I was like, it's bizarre to think of him as his own person, just left home at university and maybe having a sad moment, and we won't be there to help. And that's what happens when you grow up. And she, the character in this, it just felt like, she's away and she's on her own, and it just touched me. I just thought it was beautiful execution. And that's completely just, I don't know if you felt that, but I just think it's nice. I think it's well done. I think it's smooth. I like the aesthetic. I'd heard that a lot of people, when they were saying, yeah, it's great and everything, that they were sort of saying that maybe the graphics weren't that great. But I like the style. I think it's really good.
Yeah, no, I love the style. I think the style is fantastic, and it's quite funny. After every episode, I was always kind of jotting down what the songs were, because there was a couple of songs that really grabbed me, and then I'd go straight to like Apple Music and go, right, find that one, play that, and I was walking around my house with just headphones on, listening to the music, as you heard James and I say, we were absolutely hooked with this, between Christmas and New Year, and it's so good to hear that, because it is just such a fantastic game, and I'm so glad, that you're getting those kind of first play kind of experiences that I definitely was. Wow. And it's just fantastic. It's just really cool, and it is just such a fantastic game. And as I did say, if we'd have done our Game of the Year podcast maybe a week later, this would have been there. This would have been in that top 3 easy. Yeah,
and it just goes to show either how similar gamers we are, with our passion for games, or just how good the game is. Or
yes,
both, or both together. So when you were into it and you got the playlist and you were listening to it on your iPod, did you sort of infiltrate some local school and walk down the corridor so you could like relive it, looking like some weirdo?
yeah, I was thinking like the oldest teen ever.
The oldest swinger in town.
I had my jeans on back to front. I was showing my
BBC report,
showing my boxers.
It was Life is Strange. Said Antony as he got carted off in the van.
Yeah, it wasn't me, Governor, honestly. but no, I'm so glad you're enjoying it. So are you playing it with Claire? Is Claire there with you, kind of steering some of your decisions, or is she just a spectator?
Yeah, she's there giving her input, and it means that I can't play it in the day.
Right.
Because Sam's going to be there, and it's got inappropriate language and probably other stuff. So it's bad because it doesn't leave as much of a window, because like Sam's going to bed later, and we're tired, so we're going to have to push on from like 8 o'clock. It'd be like, hey, it's like it's not enough time. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to cane it through a weekend. Do you know what I mean? But I can't. In the day, sort of start on Saturday morning, and just cane it through Saturday. That'd be awesome. But I can't do that. So yeah, but every evening I'm going to be playing it. So yeah,
maybe Sam needs to go visit his grandparents for a couple of days.
Yeah, I know, that'd be the easy way out. I can't do it though. It's a bit, doing that feels as if like cheating on a game.
Yes,
like not allowed. So that's what I've played. I've sort of played some fantastic games, but you've played the big hitters, mate, haven't you?
I have indeed. I've been playing kind of new releases. Now I'm still chugging my way through The Witness. I'm about 180, I think at the last look, I'm about 180 puzzles in, because I found out that if you press the start button, go to load in a game, it will actually tell you kind of how many puzzles you've unlocked. A bit of a convoluted way of doing it. Jonathan Blow could have easily just put a counter somewhere. But so I'm playing The Witness. It's just boggling my mind. I think I've got to a bit that James was talking about last week. I'm now working out kind of little Tetris shapes and how to do it, and it's just fantastic. It's one of those games, but I am finding it. You are kind of just mentally tired after playing it, but it is just such a great game, and it does just compel you to go on to the next section, and you just want to get to the next puzzle and unlock the next one. It really does have that draw.
Wow.
So I'm absolutely loving The Witness. It is just one of those games that you do think about. I've got my pad, I've got my pencil, and there's a few puzzles that I'm stuck on at the moment, and I have a sketch of the puzzle, and I'm trying to work it out. So while I'm kind of not playing it, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about this game, and it was quite funny because on Saturday doing a bit of gaming, kind of like mid-evening, kind of doing a bit of gaming. Nicola and she was playing The Witcher, obviously, and I was playing The Witness, and I was just so stuck. And then so Nicola kind of put down her pad because she noticed the puzzle, and she was like, "Well, why don't you try this?" And so we were trying that, and it was just so good. And then like Nicola was up at the TV pointing. I was like, "Don't touch it. I've just cleaned it." Like trying to work out all the different shapes. And when you do get one of those puzzles that maybe you've been stuck on for about 15 minutes, the elation that you feel is amazing. And then you go into the next puzzle, and then you feel dumb again. But it is
from peak to trough in 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is just really good. I got to some puzzles. I got to an area. There was a swamp area. I got to a swamp area, and there was some kind of environmental. So you had to do a puzzle one way, and it moved a drawbridge, and then so there were just things like that, and that's quite nice. And I was listening to a podcast while I was playing The Witness, and I was like, I just don't know where I'm going. There was there was a maze, and I couldn't figure out the puzzle. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me? And I just couldn't figure it out. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to a podcast, and I'm playing The Witness. I'm like, I can't figure this out. And I put my headphones in for the game, so I took it out of my iPhone, stuck it into my controller on my PS4, and I realised that it was an audio cue of how to get around this maze. And I was just like, done it, So now whenever a puzzle is kind of challenging me, I'm putting my headphones back on, going, am I missing something? But, as you were saying last week, there isn't much of a soundtrack to The Witness. So if you're just playing that, it can get a little bit lonely when you're on that island. So that's why I like listening to like a podcast or some music.
That's fair enough, but he threw a little abstract audio cue in there, Jonathan, you've done it again.
Yes, exactly. If there could be like a little speaker flashing going, this is an audio section, I'd be like, oh, excellent, thank you very much, and then switching over. So I've been playing The Witness, love it, I'm still playing it. I've been distracted by The Witness by possibly a nicer looking version of The Witness, if you will, if that was possible, by Firewatch. So the guys at Campo Santo sent us a code for Firewatch, sent us a Steam code. So I got out my MacBook Pro, booted it into Windows 10, and played the preview code that they gave us for Firewatch. First of all, I was trying to be a little bit optimistic, stuck it into Ultra mode, stuck Firewatch into Ultra mode, and wow, it looked good. I think I sent you a screenshot.
You did.
I was like, look at this. But the problem is, as soon as I tried to move, it was like juddery
as hell. It could only be appreciated on that MacBook as a screenshot. The game was just a selection of screen. It was a scrapbook.
It was so bad, so I had to drop it right down to medium. So, which in a way is good, because I had to drop it down to medium. I played a couple levels. The preview code that the guys gave us, it kind of put you, it's really weird, it kind of put you not right at the start of the game, it kind of put you kind of a 25 to 30, 25 minutes into the game. So got to play that, was really enjoying that. And then, so that actually came out this week. It came out this week on PlayStation 4 and PC. Firewatch is just, it's stunning. I've talked about it before. It's the Ollie Moss designed game. It's a walking simulator. You play as Henry, who is a ranger, who is a lonely kind of a loner ranger in a fire watch in a huge park in Wyoming. Right at the start of the game, you kind of see some fireworks going off, and you want to go and investigate the fireworks. So you've got to go and do some things. You've got to try and get down a slope. So you've got to find some rope, and there's all kind of that stuff. And what I found out quite quickly is it doesn't kind of put something on the screen to say you need to go here. Now, a lot of the time I was looking at my map, so you have to press the up arrow to look at your map. So I found it's like an orientation sim that I'm kind of walking around these forests going, right, okay, I'll get to this end of the road, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I tell you what could have made the game just a little bit better was if they utilised that second screen app. If I could have my map just kind of sitting there rather than kind of throwing it up on screen every now and then. But apart from that, this game looks stunning. It plays amazing, so it's kind of giving you clues as you go along. You find out who's been setting off the fireworks, then you have to get back to your fire watch. So you get back to there, and then some things kind of happen, and that's kind of as much as this information I'm going to give without spoiling. So it was really cool. So I was really enjoying it. I only stopped playing it last night because I was a little bit tired, and I was finding myself kind of getting a little bit sleepy. So I thought, I'll finish that now and then just kind of pick it up and enjoy it. So I've got a couple of days off work now, and I'm going to be playing Firewatch. I want to just kind of get it done because I think it's only about 5 hours long. But it's a fantastic game. I'm really enjoying it. So I got that on the PS4. On the PS4, there's two versions of Firewatch. One of them is just your plain Firewatch. The other one is called the dynamic version, I think, dynamic theme version. And I went for that one. It's about £2 extra, and it gives you a dynamic theme for your PlayStation 4. Now, you and I, we've been chatting about this previously on the podcast, how we don't like changing our themes. Yeah. We kind of like to out-of-the-box Sony one is fine for me. It feels wrong. I found one that I'm happy to change, and this is an Ollie Moss visual that is just gorgeous. It changes from day to night. There's little things like birds flying around, trees gently swaying. I just absolutely loved it. It's just absolutely superb. So I kind of downloaded that. So I got the game and the theme. Like I say, I think it's like £16 in the UK, and so I got that, and I'm really enjoying it.
Cool. Does that theme cycle quickly, or does it depend on the actual real time? So if it's at night, it'll be night time. If you play your PS4 in the day, it'll be light and dark if you're playing it at night, or does it cycle quite quickly so you can see the whole sort of range of the theme within the 5 minutes or so that you're on the menu?
I don't know, because I saw it on the PlayStation blog, and there was about 5 different themes, 5 different pictures, or 5 different images, and I've only seen 2. So I saw one, which was that bright orange kind of sunrise, gorgeous looking thing, and then I played the game, and when I came out, the moon was up. So I haven't. Maybe I'll put I'll just leave it running, and then just kind of watch that. But yeah, so it just absolutely looks incredible. So though I don't think it cycles quite quickly. I was trying to figure out if there was a way for me to cycle round the theme, by pressing up or something like that on the D-pad or something. But there isn't. I'm just, like I say, I've only seen 2 of the how many pictures there are. But it's fantastic. But one quick thing while we're talking about Firewatch, to worth noting is the guys at Campo Santo have done something quite interesting, because if you've got Firewatch on Steam, so if you're playing it on PC, you're probably loving that ultra mode on PC, and I'm glad I didn't play it for too long, because I think going to the PlayStation 4, that would have just upset me, because it did look incredible.
You're getting more and more sort of envious, and I can detect this. It's getting more and more each week, the sort of more weight towards getting the PC here.
But that's the problem with me. I love visuals, which is why I've gone for Blu-ray. Why I've gone for 4K.
Yeah, it's why I've gone for Sky Q. You see, you're willing to buy extra TVs for it and everything. So
exactly.
It's kind of like what we do. Why haven't we got a PC?
Exactly.
It's an anomaly.
Exactly, because a game like Firewatch, a 5-hour game, is something, run it on Ultra, you're good to go. But the guys at Campo Santo, they've kind of gone this kind of extra. They've added like a little in-game extra. And this is, when you're playing the game, you come across a disposable camera. You know, the old kind of cardboard disposable cameras.
Oh, yeah.
I found that the other night, and you can take photos of these gorgeous vistas. So as the sun's coming up, as you're standing at the top of a mountain and looking across, you can take photos. Now, if you've got the PC version, at the end of the game, when you get to the end of the game, there is an option to buy these. So you can actually use the fake photo development company, which is called Photodome in the game. You can say, yep, I would like to buy these. And I think it's about $15, which is about £10. And they ship worldwide as well. And it enables you to just say, yeah, I'd like my photos developed. And they arrive in that little kind of, as you used to do when you're just going to get photos developed in that little envelope. All of your pictures that you've taken in Firewatch are developed and sent to you.
As physical pictures?
Yes, physical pictures.
No, so it's not in the game that there's a Photoshop and you get them in a virtual thing. It's actually like the old, you've had them developed at the shop thing.
Exactly. So you, in the game, you say, right, I would like to buy my pictures. I'd like to get my pictures developed. It takes about a month to get to you, depending on where you are, and they send it from their Portland headquarters. So they basically print them out, put them in a little kind of nice little envelope, and then they package them off to you.
What a nice little touch.
Exactly, that's just so cool. What a great idea that I haven't seen that idea in kind of any other game, and I just thought that's just such a great idea.
It is. They could put that in Life is Strange.
They
could
could
put
indeed.
it in Beyond Good and Evil. Do you think it's the thing that is there a game where you have a camera and can take pictures that is not a good game? Because they're the only three I can think of, and they're all good. So I'm just wondering, if you're ever going to develop a game, if there's any developers listening, you're making a game now, put a camera in, give the player the ability to take pictures, and everyone's going to love it. Yes,
absolutely. I mean, photo mode is becoming a thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love that in Resogun.
Yeah, exactly. When Last of Us was remastered for PlayStation 4, they added photo mode. They added photo mode to Arkham Knight, which I loved and spammed a lot of people on Twitter with. So that sort of stuff. They do add it, but I just thought this was really cool. So that's kind of Firewatch. I've been playing that. I also on Saturday morning jumped into the Gigantic beta, and Gigantic is the free-to-play MMO on Xbox One. So I got an invite code for the MOBA. I got a free code for that. So I was just kind of having a quick look just to see what it was like. Really enjoyed the visuals. The visuals are awesome. It's very comic booky. It's almost cel shaded. Looks very good. I got to play as my character. Kind of leveled him up a little bit. Went through the tutorial. Then got to take on a boss with a couple of other people. And it was quite fun. I thought this was actually just quite a good game, and it's free to play. So it looks very good. I think you might have remembered it, Darren, like when they did the sizzle reel on the Xbox One at E3.
Yeah.
It was that real kind of cartoony kind of looking shoot 'em up.
I do. It was an attention grabbing game. It's one of the. I thought Firewatch was an attention grabber, and this as well. It caught my attention on the sizzle reel, and I was like, it was one of those. I was like, okay, this is one to watch. Yeah, definitely. So, but the thing is, I'm not a fan of MOBAs. I haven't found one that I've really got on with yet. But did you enjoy it then?
I did. I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of goes. Like I say, I took out a boss. You get this kind of big character that you can send to attack the boss. And we took the boss down, and it was quite nice. It was just a quick play that they had on the screen, and it was really good. I quite enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it on a Saturday morning, kind of drinking coffee, having my breakfast. I really enjoyed just kind of playing, having a quick game with this. I think I was in there for probably about an hour, but quite enjoyed it.
It's funny because The Witness and Firewatch and Gigantic, they're all big, bold, bright games, aren't they?
They are. It's just like that's what my eyes love at the moment. It's sort of this kind of
sort of Mario-esque almost.
Exactly. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just kind of have a bit of a Mario deficiency at the moment, and I'm trying to fill it with all of these. Interesting news though, because this week, even I think it might have even been today, the studio behind Gigantic have actually started laying people off. They have what they call a temporary layoff, and a significant percentage of the studio have been laid off. And they basically just said that our financial situation. This was a quote that was on Eurogamer, our financial situation is such that we're unable to continue supporting the entirety of the studio at this time, which is just sounds really interesting because this is backed by Microsoft. It's exclusive to Windows 10 and Xbox One with cross-platform play, but yet the studio's kind of buckling a bit before they even get the game out.
Yeah, I know. It's really sad news. I don't know if Microsoft might step in and help, but it looks like they're looking for investors and they're having some successful talk, but that's all it is at the moment, is talk. There's no deals, so the game may not come out, which is shocking.
It really is. I mean, I really hope it does, because like I say, I enjoyed myself. It was a great game, and it's Motiga Studios. So, hopefully, everything's going to be okay, because this is definitely a title that should get out. This is a great title, and I think a lot of people would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand how the funding works for investment in a game that's free to play. When it was first announced, and it was announced that it would be free to play, I just sort of obviously wrongly assumed that Microsoft was funding it. And that was it, because they've got the money to sort of take that kind of hit, and it was just part of their investment in the players, giving them games that they want, that are free to play. But obviously it's not as simple as that, and it was funded by some other means, and there was another business model behind it, maybe from sort of in-game purchases or something. I mean, it must be something like that, because you can't just pay people's staff for nothing. So there must be another system in place to make the game make money, and it hasn't worked, or they had a finite pot and they've just burned through it quicker than expected, maybe, and it's a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel very very finalised. It did feel very polished. The game ran perfectly. I jumped into a game. It was all running. It was running well. It seems a solid frame rate. So it definitely looks like it's very close to kind of coming out. But yeah, maybe you're right. It's just maybe they just kind of burnt through their money quite quickly. But this far on, and with Microsoft kind of touting it at the E3 press conference last year, you'd expect to see it kind of quite, for them just to kind of jump on and just kind of keep funding.
Yeah. Well, as in a lot of times we say this, don't we? But time will tell. But hopefully they'll get an investor, and the game will reach fruition and come out.
Yes, indeed. So that was it. So I kind of played that, and the last couple that I've been playing continue playing Marvel Lego Avengers, rolled the credits on the first story, which was kind of Avengers. It was a bit of Avengers Age of Ultron and a bit of Avengers Assemble, as it was known in the UK. So I had kind of rolled the credits on that. One of the gorgeous things that I saw in the credits was Arthur Parsons, who runs Traveller's Tales. Yeah, it is Traveller's Tales, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Keep getting you with Telltale Games. Yeah,
yeah. Who runs Traveller's Tales? He in the credits had his daughter, Lily Parsons, was the additional quality assurance, and I just thought that was just absolutely adorable. So it was quite nice to see that. Rolled the credits. Anyone who's seen the Avengers movie, the first one, they would know there's a couple of great after-credit sequences, and they are there in Lego form, so which I was quite pleased. It did make me chuckle. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of what I've been playing. Quite a mammoth lot. I don't know where I'm finding all the time for all
you played
this.
Some good stuff this last week, mate. That's an impressive lineup. Some great games, and yeah, great of Campo Santo to send that code as well for you to get a bit of a preview on Firewatch. And yeah, gigantic. It's good stuff. Good current stuff.
Absolutely, it's really cool at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I'll turn on Xbox or PlayStation 4 or even PC now. I'll turn on. There's just so much to play, and I'm just absolutely loving it. It's such a great time. And with that, should we start the news section?
Why not?
And in this week's news section, we have release dates galore. We say goodbye to a true gaming legend, and we have news on that open beta of my most anticipated title of 2016, and that's The Division. We'll get to that a bit later, Darren. See what you take of that. But first up, the first piece of news is with me. Now, this was quite interesting because last week on the podcast we were talking about Doom, and we kind of had a quick check. We fact checked quickly to to have a look on Amazon, because that's where we get all our facts from. And we didn't have a release date for Doom. And I think literally a couple of hours after we finished podding, they released the release date for Doom. Now, a lot of people were thinking maybe it would come after E3 because they haven't released it, and Bethesda have a press conference. But it's actually going to be launching worldwide on the 13th of May. So on the 13th of May, we're going to get this new Doom, which I'm quite excited about. They released with a awesome trailer, which was just kind of horrible and cool at the same time.
in that amazing Doom way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so they released it, and they also gave details on a premium collector's edition as well, that comes with a little figure. You get a whole bunch of chopskis with it, but it comes with a figure, quite a nice looking figure. If you kind of had that, but it's quite a nice looking figure that kind of comes with that kind of in a Doom premium collector's edition. So it's coming out 13th of May. Now, is this something that maybe you're going to jump into, Darren? Are you going to jump into the single player, or are you not sure yet?
I'm not sure yet. The thing is, I felt I got burnt with Doom 3.
Right. Yes.
I got really hyped about Doom 3. Got it. I had a good PC at the time, so I got Doom 3, and it didn't live up to my expectation, unfortunately.
Right.
Though it might be partly because in some rooms I was just too scared to move forward because the lights had all gone out, and I was just like really sort of tentative with my finger poised above the arrow key, because I use the arrow cursor keys rather than the WASDs. And I was like, I don't want to go in because it's all going to kick off. But I did find that, all joking aside there, that I found with the game, if I remember correctly, it was just kind of, you went into it was just a set of rooms, it felt like to me, that you went into a room, and then as you progressed so far into the room, you were safe, and then when you just went that little bit further, you just, as if you just hit a pressure pad in the game, and that would trigger the enemies to appear. And I didn't mind that a little bit, but I felt that it was repeating that same dynamic all the time, and it did it that much that I sort of got bored with it. But it was really shiny and beautiful and gory and horrible, so it had that sort of Doom staple. But it wasn't, for me, a true evolution of what I found fun about the first Doom. Because in the first Doom, I don't know, it didn't feel like the enemies just spawned when you just edged so far close to them, and like that. It just felt, even though obviously it looked completely different because it was all very blocky and pixely, but the world in that the original Doom just felt more alive, if you like, and less contrived. So Doom 3 has sort of made me very wary. So I'm not sure how well received it was now. It was that long ago. I don't know whether it was a hit or not. I mean, it just wasn't a hit for me. I don't think it was sort of received as well as the publisher developer would have expected it to sell. I seem to remember. So I'm hoping that if that was the case, that they've learned the lessons, and this is sort of a beautifully gory, more natural evolution of the original that people would want. So, and if it was that, then I think I'd be inclined to jump in. But then what makes me hesitant is that kind of gameplay too basic now? If they did emulate that, so if they emulated that well, would the next thing be that I'll be only saying, oh yeah, but actually it's kind of too basic and things have moved on? Do you know what I mean?
I do
so
indeed.
It's hard to tell. I haven't played a true sort of FPS for ages. I had to go on the Wolfenstein game on PS4, and that's pretty good. And I think that's by the same guys, if I remember correctly.
It is. It's software.
It's by id, is it? Yeah, and that was really critically well received, and I enjoyed it. But it didn't hold me. But the thing is, I didn't get it on release. I just got it as a cheap game because it was on offer. I got it for $10, and another game came along that was just bigger, more important to me, and it went on the shelf. But I did enjoy it. So I don't know. The jury's out with me, but I'm not saying that I definitely wouldn't get it. I'm sort of waiting to hear. I'd need to see some Let's Plays, hear your opinion on it if you got it, see some reviews. It wouldn't be a pre-order. Well, I don't really pre-order. Well, if I do pre-order, it's like a few days or a week before it comes out.
Yes.
But this isn't one of those for me. It's not one that I would pre-order a few days before it came out. But if the reviews all raved about it and said it was sort of what you'd expect as a natural evolution of what we loved back in the day, but brought up to date in a beautifully crafted way, and it feels like Doom, but Doom how it should be now, then yeah, it'd be sort of like you'd have to you'd have to hold me back. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What about you? You're going to get it.
No, I think for me, I might apply my Call of Duty model to this. So my Call of Duty model, which is buy it, storm through the single-player campaign, see what it's like, have a quick razz of the multiplayer mode, and then take it back to game and trade it in. Yeah. I think I might do that. I think because for me, it looks so smooth, so slick, so shiny that I kind of really do want to have a quick go of it. I do want to have a play of it. I'm interested in the multiplayer because the multiplayer is by Max Hoberman and Certain Affinity, and they're the guys who did the Halo 2 multiplayer, and they did also worked on the Master Chief Collection, and they've also done some in Halo 5 as well. So Certain Affinity are doing the multiplayer side of this, so I'd like to kind of see what that's like. But for me, my multiplayer scratch is Battlefield, is Star Wars Battlefield. Yeah. So Battlefront. So I don't need another multiplayer at the moment because I've got that on PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah. And you've got the Division as well coming out as well, haven't you? It's like different gameplay, but another online affair, isn't it?
So by the time this game comes out, I would already been 2 months into the Division as well. So I kind of, for me, I just kind of have a quick play the single player, see what that's like, enjoy this kind of next gen visuals because it does look so smooth, and then just kind of maybe take it back after that. So that's kind of where I'm interested. It does look like it's something that's going to be incredibly gory, and a kind of a nighttime, as you say, a nighttime only play, but it just looks like it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, for me, it's strange with Doom. I sort of feel that in a lot of ways, Doom should be left. Maybe it's kind of had its day. It feels to me that Doom had its day. It was massive at the time. It was part of the spark of a new generation of games, and it's kind of like why not just stop trying to drag it into the here and now, and just let it be there as a relic, but a sort of a revered relic of gaming evolution, because it was such a massive game in its day. Just let it rest on its laurels, rather than, if it doesn't work again, rather than diminishing its reputation with trying to keep dragging it into this day and age if it doesn't work. But hopefully it will work. I'm just saying, if it doesn't, it just seems a shame to tarnish its name because it was such a big name in its day.
Yes, absolutely. I think I felt exactly the same when I was watching that Bethesda press conference or that Bethesda showcase last year. I was like, "Oh, Doom, really?" And then they started playing it, and I was like, "Oh, hello." Yeah. So I was I think it was just because it was so kind of smooth and slick. But no, they could have called it. It could have been something else. It could have been a spiritual successor to Doom. But let's kind of see what it's like. I'll be interested to kind of play it, see what the mechanics are like. But yeah, so that's coming out. So Doom gets released scroll back up, on the 13th of May. And that's kind of on all platforms. That's PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox.
Cool. And the next item is with myself, and this is the sad, but probably not wholly unsurprising news that Game Trailers is closing its doors, and actually has closed its doors now, after 13 years of being an online gaming presence. Game Trailers for me was a place that I frequented a lot, especially in its infancy, 10 years ago or so. I always used to go to Game Trailers before YouTube had sort of taken off. It was the place to go for your video reviews, wasn't it? And yeah. So they've sadly closed the doors. They tweeted out on their official Game Trailers Twitter, after 13 years, Game Trailers is closing down today. This was on the 8th of February. Thank you for your continued support over the years. It has been an adventure, and lots of people commiserating and mourning their closure after that. Literally hundreds and hundreds of tweets saying, no, it's really sad. We really enjoy your videos. We really enjoyed your reviews. A lot of people, you say they were their one stop for reviews, which wasn't for me, but I did like to. I sort of would have a selection of favourite reviewers that I'll go to, and then I'll sort of like judge from the average of those. But I really like the reviews, and I can't remember the guy, but they may have had different guys writing the reviews. But I thought the genius of the game trailers video reviews was they always had the same guy narrating them.
Oh, okay.
And I loved that. I loved that guy's voice. It became more than just your usual voiceover. That was the voice of game trailers to me. And I loved it that it was always the same guy. And I used to think, how does this guy get through it all? But yeah, I think he'd have different reviewers, but this guy would read them out. And I just found his voice. I thought he was a great guy for the job because he had a great voice for it. And there was other things in game trailers that I really enjoyed that I found as over the years, because I'd click for the video reviews, and then your eyes would wander around the site. And there were some other videos that I really enjoyed. There was Annoyed Gamer with Marcus Beer. Who was an angry gaming pundit who moved over to the US but hailed from Wales in the UK, and he used to get annoyed. He used to rant about the industry and the annoyances in the industry. More often than not, he had a good point, and we're sort of all about having a positive slant, and that's absolutely cool. That's we're about that, because there's too much negativity, I think, really in the industry and in the pundits and things. But I enjoyed watching him, and he made a few good points. Not always, I didn't always agree, but sometimes I did. But it's good to hear different points of view, isn't it, and hear a debate. But he left game trailers a long time ago. I think they had a reshuffle. So I think they've had some transitions and been brought up by people a couple of times, and a few reshuffles of staff. He disappeared as part of that, and I was sad about that. And then he tried to start up on his own on YouTube, and it didn't really work, and it was a real shame because I loved hearing his point of view. So that was a real shame. And another guy had his own little comedy slot on there, The Final Boss Man, and I really enjoyed his slant on it. And he's like, I think he was a comic, but he commented on games as well. And I just really enjoyed his slant on whatever the current news was of that week. It just a 10-minute video, and he was just so sharp. This guy, it was really good to watch. So I was at the stage where I used to frequent their channel to watch these two guys, and I'd always watch their reviews. Because I found them very enjoyable and well put together. The thing is, their video player, I thought, was always a bit rubbish. It was kind of good when there was no other choice, but when YouTube caught them up and surpassed them, they never changed. And they always, I think, I sort of felt that they always wanted to keep their sort of proprietary video player, because that was the way that they could force you to watch their ads, which was probably how they made their revenue. But unfortunately, I think their stubbornness in clinging onto that format and their rubbish video player that everybody that I ever spoke to about it complained about was ultimately the undoing of them. I think it was a resistance to change as things have changed. They were brilliant back in the day, but I think it was sort of a reluctance to diversify and to embrace other platforms that were superseding them that have caused this. And it's a shame, because I think with some kind of evolution, they may have been able to hang on. But I don't know about their revenue streams. I'm just thinking that they were so big and they did have such a following that surely there would have been a way to avoid it, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame. So did you used to enjoy the site?
Oh, absolutely. I was always, after, because obviously you're living in the UK, we didn't have access to the Video Game Awards when they first started, because they were always on Spike or something like that. So it would be that morning. So most of the time they were on a Saturday evening while we were asleep. So I'd get up on a Sunday and just go through all of those trailers, all of the stuff that was announced. And then I think they actually hosted the Video Game Awards on Game Trailers one year as well. So it was, like I say, and E3, when E3 was rolling around, that was my one-stop shop for all of the news, all of the visuals that were coming out of E3. So I used to go in there all the time, and I have been using it for absolute years. But I think you're right. I think it's a case of that they didn't go to YouTube straight away. If you think about it, these guys were doing they were doing it before all of the big guys. They could have easily have just morphed into something completely different, started to do more Let's Plays, kind of got ahead of the whole Twitch thing, because they were kind of one step in front of everybody.
They were doing what people love before it went to YouTube. They sort of, it was it was their birth, wasn't it, in a way? And
yes.
Yeah. Oh, it was It was Brandon Jones. He was the voice and co-founder of Game Trailers.
Right. So it's really sad. It's really sad to see them to have to close their doors. I'm sure they got bought out by Viacom or someone like that a good 5 to 6 years ago. But it's sad to see them go because they were that kind of one stop, and it's quite interesting because even if I look at my favourites that I've got in Safari on my Mac, they're there. They're one of my gaming tabs. They're there. They kind of came off from my daily surf, to just a gaming tab, but they're there, So I think I might save it. I might save that bookmark. Just save it at the top.
Yeah, I think I might have discovered it through your good self actually, because I seem to remember years and years ago, you sending me a clip, or you got to watch this. And it may have been that, first made me discover it, and then just like, oh wow, I really liked it, and it's just great. So it's a real shame. I don't know if the guys are gonna do anything else, or stick together as a team.
Well, I think they did have they had a last podcast where they kind of did that last hurrah, and they had a bit of a stream. They were going for a few hours, and they did say that one of the things that they might do, one of the things they're thinking about doing is, kind of just building their own site, because they are personalities. Like you say, you could name 3 of them, so they are personalities to people who that's their go-to site. They want to know what those people say. They want to hear from those people. So I could expect them to do something maybe like kind of funny, where they would create their own site and put their own content there and draw revenue that way.
Maybe through Patreon or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Patreon would be the ideal model for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it just goes to show, no tree is mighty enough not to be felled by not swaying in the right direction. I think maybe it's fair to say, nothing is invulnerable to the changes and to the trends that the gaming industry goes through.
Absolutely, I'm sad that they're gone, but not surprised because they didn't move with the times. They were kind of trying to do their own thing. But it's sad to see them go.
The thing that sticks in my craw is I do think that it was a pig-headed stubbornness, and I don't know if this is true, but I just got the impression it was a pig-headed stubbornness that they didn't want to move and change because they wanted to keep their audience with them, and they didn't know what else to do to get revenue because they didn't want to go to YouTube because then they wouldn't be in control of the ads, and it was all about the ads. So they needed to find a different way, didn't they? And maybe like there you go, Patreon, and maybe that'll come back and it'll be better, and it'll be a breath of fresh air with the same guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I can't see that it's just gonna disappear. These guys are gaming personalities. They've got the experience of all these years creating content. Unless they're sick of it, they'll want. And how could they be sick of it? These are guys who are passionate about games. I'm sure they'll be thinking of what they can do next. And this kind of a clean break could be a great opportunity, as things like this often are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think they're fed up with it because if rumours were right, and I don't like to kind of speculate on rumours, even though I probably will be doing that in my next story, that they came into work and they were a couple of hours in and someone came around and said it's all over, and they kind of finished it quite quickly. So it wasn't something that they were consulted about or knew about. They just kind of came in and then it was like, right, we're shutting down today, and then the plug was pulled.
Well, my heart goes out to them.
Yes. So another one. Game Trailers, we salute you.
Long live the new Game Trailers.
Yes, exactly. Game is a lost spark is, and we'll just go straight in. We'll dance.
I've bought the domain already.
The seat isn't warm. The seat is so warm. It isn't cold yet, and we're there. Right. So next rumour speculation that I've got.
But not that we speculate
at all. No, not that we speculate. Well, this is quite interesting because Titanfall 2 looks like it's going to be a thing. We kind of knew, but Titanfall 2. Now, Jesse Stern, who is the lead writer on Titanfall 2, so it's not really a rumour and speculation, has been speaking to Forbes. So the website Forbes, quite interesting, there was a Forbes and nowhere else, but he's been talking to Forbes about Titanfall 2. Now, one of the things that he's been saying about this awesome title, if you played on the Xbox One, maybe awesome for a couple of hours, maybe, yeah. And then I enjoyed it when I first jumped into my mech, and I was like, "This is fantastic." But then it kind of got kind of stale quite quickly. But Titanfall 2 is coming. It's cross-platform, so we're getting it on PC, Xbox One, and PS4, which was the first kind of interesting point. And what we were talking about last week, which was kind of about that whole multiplayer versus single-player experience or campaign. Titanfall 2 is going to have a campaign. Now, we were talking about just this last week. We were saying, like, Titanfall is one of those ones where the premise is fantastic. Those Titans are amazing. The first time you're scooped up and stuck into a Titan is amazing, and they're going to have a single player. So what Jesse Stern said to Forbes was he confirmed that it's going to be grounded, dirty human setting for this campaign. Where
he's not saying Blackpool, is it?
Well, it might be. It's like you're set in a world where science meets magic.
Oh no,
I'm not sure what magic. I'm not sure what magic is. Maybe that's like Star Wars. Who knows, But the story will attempt to tell a vision of global warfare, retelling the story of the American Revolution and the American Civil War, but in space. Wow. So extending that, he was just basically saying the machines that were designed for excavation, construction, demolition, this is a quote that was on Forbes, and working the land being turned into instruments of war. Sign me up. Wow. I'm there. It sounds like it could be great fun. And now the last comment that he said in the Forbes interview was that it was expected to be out this year, but he thinks it may have slipped to next year.
Okay. Well, that's okay. That's fine. I don't think there's a big clamour for Titanfall 2, and they need to make it work this time. It's funny. They obviously listened to the podcast last week, didn't they?
Yes, yeah, they were like, do you know what? We should do a single campaign. They're right. Those guys are right. They're on the money. I mean, it's quite funny because when I heard about this and I was reading up about kind of Titanfall 2, it made me want to. I've got a disc-based version and I still have it. It did make me want to jump up and kind of play Titanfall because I really did enjoy that walking around as the mech. Playing the mech, kind of running, doing the traversal. They got a lot of things right. That game felt really good.
It was good. It was fun to play. Tight control and fun to play. That's
yes.
I think that would be enough, but it wasn't.
I mean, you think about it. The pedigree of this studio is Vince Zampella, which is Respawn, and they did Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Did they? Was it Modern Warfare? Modern Warfare 3, maybe.
Yeah. And it's It's just, I think we discussed it last week, and it's kind of like they've ticked the boxes, haven't they? They've really, go multi-platform. That's just sensible for fiscal reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the single player game, having the SPC, the single player campaign in there, it's just so needed on a new IP to give you that investment into the world. And we talked at length, didn't we, about it last week? And it's give me that. Give me that meat of the game. Give me that cause to fight for. And I'm sure that the multiplayer, that's the bit they want to elongate and to evolve. That will happen if you give people like sort of reason to finish the fight, if you like Halo or whatever. It gives you. I see these sort of, even though I've been getting a little bit more sort of disappointed in Halo as the iterations go on. When I see the conferences and I see hear the dun, 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 and I hear something like finish the fight and I see a montage of Halo, the memories of the campaign make me get goosebumps and I get excited because I've played through and been the hero, and I think that's what you need to. That's what they need to do, and people will be more invested. And once they've got a universe, it just means the whole thing means more, doesn't it? And if they bring out DLC, it'll mean more because they've got story there. I think it's so important. I think it feels vacuous without a story, doesn't it? It's as if it kind of feels like it's just made for what it is. It's just like spend your money and be in the arena, and that's it. It's just an arena. There's no reason for it to be there. It's just an arena. Don't ask me why. It's just there. Don't ask me why we've got, there was kind of a loose attempt at a story, but you can see through it, can't you? And I think that we appreciate some work on fleshing out the worlds that we game in.
No, absolutely, and I think it is quite interesting how they're doing this for the second one. And it's EA. Could that mean that maybe Star Wars Battlefront 2 gets a bit of a story mode as well? While they kind of, that's their model. Could that be their model? But you're right. You jump into these amazing looking arenas, because it was, it was the first time we'd kind of new generation. We're jumping in, we're looking at these. All of the maps looked lovely. It was derelict. It just played so well, and you did just you wanted there to be some meat on these bones, and there wasn't. It was just, like I say, that's why it was like, I think a weekend I was excited about Titanfall. I was just loving it. I was like, you gotta play Titanfall, everybody, you gotta play Titanfall. It's fantastic. You jump in a mech, look at this, and then kind of after that it just started to wane. And I think you nailed it on the last week when you were saying about that Star Wars Battlefront hasn't done that, because we're already invested in those characters. We already know what the struggle is about, and we don't with Titanfall. So let's hope that this campaign really does just kind of give us that, and we reinvest into this awesome world.
Yeah, because as you say, you did so much right. I remember seeing it when it was first. The hype train started to build, and you saw the sort of the wall jumping and the rocket packs, and it's just like, yeah, this is going to be cool. But sometimes you need more than just great gameplay for the present day. I mean, take that back when online gaming first started, because I suppose Unreal Tournament's not much different, but people just need more than that, I think, and it's just difficult to sell the new IP. So yeah, it's looking like Titanfall 2 could be what we wanted with Titanfall 1. And they must have done analysis into this, mustn't they? They've looked at why did it fail? And they're like, well, I don't know, it's so shiny and good. It's like, I don't know. And it's like, it sounds like they've worked it out, haven't they? So it's I'm optimistic for that. I think that could be good. That could be good. And I'd love to play a single player campaign in a mech that controlled as well as that. It'd be awesome. Or a co-op, an online co-op with me and you, and like, Anthony, I'm stuck, and you go, right, hold on a minute, and you like get a Titan, sent down from space. You jump into it, and you go and get all the baddies and save me, and then I get into one, and then we go together and we clear the level. Woohoo! High five in the mechs. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. I tell you what, that never got old, dropping a mech down in Titanfall.
Beautiful.
That crack, when you hear it kind of breaking the sound barrier and just going through the atmosphere, never got old.
Yeah. And the entry into the mech as well is just a thing of beauty. Great transition.
It really was, and obviously what they got to do in the campaign is make sure that you're not just walking around in a mech all the time.
Yeah, and you got to make sure
maybe have open areas to
the balance.
Exactly, because you are just going to want to jump in the mech all the time, and that's probably, you can hear the reviews now. Didn't spend long enough in the mech,
or it's like you're in the mech too long, or it's like you're too overpowered in the mech. It's a delicate balance.
Absolutely, Respawn's got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The next thing we've got is some more sad news. Really, it's a shame. But there's been some resignations at Mad Catz, as some executives have resigned in light of the latest sales figures. So this is a real shame. And basically, Mad Catz, they make the peripherals for Rock Band 4,
right? And
they've had resignations from 3 of the top executives at the firm. So you've got President and CEO Darren Richardson, Company Chairman Thomas Brown, and Senior Vice President of Business Affairs Whitney Peterson, all resigned on the 8th of Feb, Mad Catz said. So the company's new earnings report was due the next day.
Right.
So you got this sort of trio of resignations the day before they got the figures in, which, doesn't bode much confidence, does it?
No.
So, Mad Catz, they released Rock Band 4. They put a lot of money into Rock Band 4. I think maybe this was in light of Rock Band 4 maybe not selling quite as well as Mad Catz hoped or expected. Now, I'd probably say Rock Band 4 would, looking at the prices of the games, that sold better than Guitar Hero Live, because have you seen the plummeting price of Guitar Hero Live at the moment, the bundles with the guitars? Have you noticed?
No.
Yeah, I was going to tweet it out on our Twitter account, because I think it started at the same as Rock Band. It's about 80-90 quid, wasn't it? 89.99 pounds. Probably very similar in dollars, to get the game with the guitar. Now, Guitar Hero Live came out at the same price point. But if you have a look for it now, you can pick up Guitar Hero Live with the guitar for about £40.
Wow.
Yeah, or even less. I think I might have seen it at £35 as well. It's dropping like nobody's business. And I think that's all. This is a separate story, really. That's all because of the pretty awful monetizing system and the way that the gaming system that they've got there. So they've got a lovely guitar with a new method of learning it, because they've got 6 buttons sort of arranged at the top of the guitar that you press that sort of more accurately reflects playing a guitar. So it's a new, fresh way to play. But the monetization that they've put in place, where you can't actually just play the tunes you want to, you've got to buy them and things. It's had some bad press, and it seems that it just isn't selling at all, and the price therefore has just been dropping so much that I'm tempted. I'm tempted to pick it up just to have a go on the guitar. If it's £20 with the guitar, I'm going to buy it. And I tell you,
you've got a threshold. You go, if it gets to there, it's like you're watching stocks.
I'm watching
if
the
it gets
line.
To there.
I've already got it. I've told him. I'll buy it. I'll buy it £20. But yeah, so obviously that's Guitar Hero Live, and this is Rock Band 4. But yeah, but even Rock Band 4, which is sold better than that, has not sold as well as we expected. I thought it'd do all right, but I think people were hyped for it and were ready for it. I mean, me and you said we were ready for it, but I think all the bother with the DLC and the licensing and the tunes we already owned and the rigmarole of trying to, it didn't just work, did it? You didn't just get all your songs that you'd paid for. That was a bit of a faff. But what I don't understand there, though, that's a faff that you get after you've bought it, really. And maybe that was a step too far for people to even invest. Maybe they read that it was a bit of a faff to get their Rock Band 3, Rock Band 2 tunes, etc. And maybe that was enough of a deterrent. Maybe people just thought, well, I've got it on my 360. It's easier to just do that, maybe. So, yeah. But there's been an update, actually, on this story from Eurogamer from today. And Mad Catz has reported the financial earnings. It's a mixed bag of good and bad news, but mostly bad. The company's going to cut 37% of its staff in a bid to save $5 million over the next year. So that's the bad news. The good news, or sort of good news, is that Mad Catz year-end sales were up by 114% year-on-year to $65 million, thanks to the Rock Band 4 peripherals. So that's strange, isn't it? So even though they're up by 114%, which you'd think that would be great growth, it still didn't meet their expectation enough and has caused them to have to cut 37% of staff to save $5 million. I can't. That equation, is hard for me to work out, especially live on air. So it's a shame. It just didn't. I think the bottom line is they expected a lot more love for Rock Band, and it wasn't there. But I think that if they could have sold it in that you sort of instantly got everything, old owners instantly got everything that they'd already paid for, I think it might have sold better. I mean, I was a bit of a diehard Guitar Hero guy. I loved Guitar Hero, and I had that, and I had Rock Band, and I had all the instruments, and I think you were the same. So we're diehard into it, aren't we? We're proud to walk down the street with our band in a box and stuff because we think we're cool, and we are. So we're exceptions, but the mainstream that was there, really buying this stuff up 10 years or so ago, maybe that market, they saturated it so much that maybe the market hasn't recovered as much as they expected.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of hype around Rock Band 4 when it first came out. As you say, you and I were incredibly excited about it. But it did die off quite quickly, didn't it? The buzz for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I've got it, but I don't play it like I used to.
Right.
And I do think that maybe it was a moment in itself that's passed that can't be got back. The zeitgeist was there, and it can't be resurrected. It's funny, and I think it was because when things were done once, like when you played Sweet Child of Mine for the first time, when they had Slash in Guitar Hero, that was amazing. But they did that much with the idea that there's sort of nowhere for them to go now to make it fresh. Guitar Hero Live tried a different angle, didn't they, with that sort of live on stage thing, which I got to hand it to them. That's quite a good idea. And then Oculus have announced that there's going to be a VR version of Rock Band. Now that might be cool, or it might fall flat on his face. I don't know. So it's strange because there was nothing like when you got Slash in Guitar Hero. I thought that was that was an amazing thing, and when I got to play Freebird I thought that was amazing.
Yes.
And there were these sort of songs that were sort of definitive songs that I'd buy a whole game for one song or one or two songs, like, Painted Black by the Stones or whatever, or the Beatles, that compendium of joy that was Beatles Rock Band. And I think maybe for Rock Band 4, maybe they needed like a killer set list. And I don't feel, for me, that any of the songs really reached out and grabbed me, It's like I loved playing Hotel California on like whichever one that was out on, probably on both. And I even got into some songs because of it, but the hook was the brilliant songs that I bought it for. That got, that drew me in, and that brought me in for the whole game. And then I discovered more songs that I ended up loving through it. But the set list on Rock Band 4, there's not a song that I'm like, that's the best song ever. There's no Freebird there, for instance. For me personally, there's no Freebird. There's no Sweet Child of Mine on there for me.
No, absolutely. I mean, I actually have a playlist on my iPhone of kind of like rock band tracks, the ones that I've been playing Rock Band 4, and I'm like, I really like this song, I'm going to listen to it. And as I kind of play that song, I then add it to my playlist, and the playlist only has 7 songs. So this is kind of from Rock Band 4. I only have 7 songs that are like kind of stand out. But you're right, there isn't any kind of, I have to play
like
this
the
again
seminal
and
tune
again and again.
of that would never die, that some amazing, like Thriller by Michael Jackson. They used to have a song that was just so big. It was like a sort of defining song of an age, and and that's the draw. I think you get a few of them in there. Or they had the keyboard thing, and they had some Doors songs. I quite like the Doors. Not that they didn't do it the same for me as like, I don't know, like Paranoid or something by Ozzy Osbourne and things like that. And I don't know. I think maybe they should have done a best of the best. If they because they knew they were going to have all this rigmarole with getting your old songs, I would have just, it's very subjective again, but maybe just had the track list that sort of had the Chili Peppers, Guns N' Roses, Black Sabbath. Do you know what I mean? Like a really core resurrection of the best of rock, and gone from there. Maybe, I think the set list wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, they probably have all of those figures. They can probably tell from Xbox 360 on Rock Band 3, Lego, whatever, what were the most played songs, or when they were in free mode. And so they could have done that. They could have called it like Rock Band Legacy or something like that, or just
the best of Rock Band,
Exactly, and then just have in pure kind of rock form, have a best of album, and that's and that's it. And
now that's what I call Rock Band.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that at some point they sort out this DLC. I mean, I got Rock Band. I think my guitar's under my sofa, kind of gathering a bit of dust at the moment, because I think we had that whole, the NXOE was causing some funny things, and I think at that point I was just like, oh, stuff it, and I just kind of left it, and I haven't been back to it since. But,
I played it the other week. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable and stuff. But
oh god, it's great when you're in the zone.
But we got distracted by the shop, and we spent all night trying to remember what we used to own and going through the list that isn't presented in a really good way to navigate lots of it, to find the songs we'd purchased, and it just sort of ruined it, really.
Absolutely. I just want a big button that's like, okay, it's going to cost me £10, it's going to cost me $15, whatever, re-download all of the songs that I've ever bought, and then I'll be like, yeah, there you go, and then I would just love it. Because the one thing that Rock Band does that it changes slightly, Rock Band 4 does, is that when you get to a arena or a venue, you then have to pick tracks. And I used to like previously where it was like, this is the next track that you're going to play, and I quite like that. Now I'm like, so I do find myself choosing Arabella every time by the Arctic Monkeys, or going for like Fever by the Black Keys. So I'm pretty much like playing the same song again and again. No, exactly, and I think that's kind of what you were talking about, and that's maybe what's missing. I mean, it's sad to see these guys lose their jobs and stuff, but it's quite interesting how Mad Cats must have kind of bet the house on Rock Band 4.
Yeah, and I can understand why they would. I can really understand why they would, because I was so excited. But when, you say your guitars are sort of gathering dust now, I've hardly picked up mine, and that's the thing. Because they made the experience not as enjoyable as maybe it could have been. Once the players put down the guitars, they're not going to be buying any more tunes. And that's key.
Yeah.
Because it was like, Rock Band 4, it was like, that was it. There's not going to be Rock Band 5. This is it now. We're going to evolve it. So we're going to give you this great experience, but to evolve it to get the great experience, you need the players to be keen, to be active, to be actively buying more songs because they're enjoying the experience so much, and it needs to be done in the right way. And I think Rock Band Store was really cool in the way that it used to work, but the way of trying to mix that old with the new and the license, it's probably all down to licensing. I imagine it's out of Mad Cat's control, to be honest. I bet it's all down to the period of licensing they got, and it's just a massive, massive headache. And it's sort of, well, it's bitten them on the bum this time, hasn't it?
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, because I do remember playing Rock Band 3. It must have been Rock Band 3. And, a new Foo Fighters album would come out. It might have been In Your Honor, or it might have been Echo, Silence and Pain. But anyway, a new Foo Fighters album came out. And then they would release a Rock Band pack of about 4 or 5 of those brand new songs. So it's just like, this is fantastic. I now get to, in quotes, play this new Foo Fighters song, and I just love that, and that would always drag me back. That would always be like headphones on, and I'm playing the brand new Foo Fighters stuff, or the brand new whatever, Black Keys or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely. And I don't feel like I'm getting that at the moment, and I still. I follow Rock Band on Twitter, so you kind of see the updates, and I'm still kind of thinking, we've got new songs. I'm like, yeah, okay. There's nothing there. Maybe it's because I'm just too old, and I'm not down with the kids, but I'm just not finding anything. And I think you have once said as well that you found Rock Band as a way of discovering new acts, new bands.
Yeah.
So I'm always open to listen to new stuff, which is, which that 7-track list that I have was that, it's just like, okay, I need to listen to a bit more of Imagine Dragons, or I need to listen to a bit more, maybe I was a bit harsh on Mumford and Sons, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's helped me with, or I'll play a song to Nicola and go, have you ever heard this? And she's like, yeah, that's been out for years, and that sort of stuff. So, it's a great avenue, and it's a shame that maybe it's not grabbing everybody as much as maybe kind of Rock Band 3 did.
Yeah, and I would just like, for instance, I'd never have heard of Dragon Force, never heard Through the Fire and Flames, which I was playing the other night, because I don't know if I had to buy it, I can't remember, or whether it was already purchased, but I had to get it anyway, and I just love that song. It's so unbelievably hard. That I would have never heard of. I'm so sad, because this is like was my only outlet for finding music, because I don't listen to like radio or anything. So Avenged Sevenfold, I'm like, oh wow, these are great, So I got to hear about some good bands through Rock Band. This is just how sad I am, but yeah, I'm sort of going to miss it now. And like you say, because it doesn't force you to play the songs to progress, you do tend to stick with the ones you're comfortable with, because it's like, I can play this one that I really like, or go for this one that I'm not sure about. I'll just stick with this one because I don't have to change. And I think that it was a bad mechanic to put that in. Yeah, so it's a shame. I think they need to overhaul the system if they want to like salvage something and turn it around and make it more profitable. They need to change the way it works and make it easier for the player and get the players enthused. And then they can, again, like you said, they can then ride on the hype of bands bringing out new stuff, bring out the packs, they'll have a ready, happy consumer base that love playing the game because it's such a great, easy experience to do. It just works, and they'll be there buying they'll be happy to spend the money, and I hope that happens.
Yes, indeed. Next piece of news is with me. It's The Division.
Yeah.
The Division. I do find myself just going, why isn't The Division out? Why am I playing The Division? Why am I just kind of waiting for The Division? Anyway, The Division we're getting that, as kind of previously leaked by Microsoft, we're getting an open beta for The Division. This is happening a lot sooner than we thought. It's going to be happening on the 18th of February, so it's going to be playing from the 18th to the 21st of February on Xbox One. It will also be from the 19th to the 21st of February, so they're getting a day early on Xbox One, 19th and 21st of February on PC and PlayStation 4. It's going to be similar to the closed beta, but they're also going to put a second story mission in as well this time around. It's going to include the dark zones. It's going to do all of that. So this is going to be an open beta, open to everybody. You can start downloading it in the time of pod, where the 10th of February, in 6 days' time. So that's next Tuesday, if you're listening to this when this comes out. Next Tuesday, you'll be able to download that. And it's a around I think the closed beta was 27 gig, and there has been a screenshot leaked saying that this is going to be 32 gig. So there's about 32 gig, but it's well worth it. It's 32 gig of fun. And so this is going to be the same thing. Obviously, none of your progression or none of the stuff that you're finding follows over to the full game. You are in a beta, but it's going to be this open beta this time around. So, the $1 million question, Daz, are you going to jump in? Are you going to download it? Are you going to give it a try? Are you going to see what it's about?
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to have a look. You know, you sold it to me. You paint a lovely picture, as I've often said. You know, your words. You paint the game in front of me. I was impressed with your description of it last week. How could I not try it? I would. You know, it wouldn't be right. I wouldn't be a true gamer if I just sort of just blanket was like, I'm not interested. I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah. I mean, you might come away and go, actually, do you know what? Lovely. I can see what you guys are crazy about, but it's not for me.
I don't think so. It's going to make me want to buy it.
You're going to be like hook, line and sinker. But it's quite nice that they've got an open beta. Obviously, you know, as we were reporting last week, we had no problems with the server, but it's quite nice to... Obviously, they're all the people that have pre-ordered it, so that's kind of your day one audience. But it's quite nice for them to really kind of stress test those servers. There was a couple of issues that people were reporting last week, that we reported last week. So it's it'd be nice to see kind of those kind of tidied up and those just kind of ironed out, all ready for a nice, smooth release in March.
Yeah, like you say, the open beta is going to really stress it more than it would be, hopefully, on release date. And the other positive about it is, maybe there's other people like me that are on the fence. The open beta could... There's a pretty strong chance that the open beta could turn me and make me buy the game. If it wasn't for the open beta, I would not buy the game because I wouldn't have that experience. But because there's an open beta, I just got this feeling I'm going to have a good time and it's going to go on my list. So it's a good reason to have it, in this absence of demos. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not just going to buy it if I don't like it, but I got a feeling that I'll probably like it. And, yeah, without the open beta, I wouldn't dip my toe in, and so I wouldn't get that hook. But I'll see. I'm not definitely going to get it. I will jump in with you guys. Just be nice to me because I don't know how to play it.
Yes, we'll walk you through, you noob, and then we'll treat you well. Don't worry about that. I mean, it's quite interesting how kind of this open beta, the closed beta, really is just kind of replacing the demo, isn't it? In these days, demo is not used. I don't know what made demo such a bad word, but we now just kind of the beta, which is good.
It's more hype friendly, isn't it? It's like it's more hype friendly.
It makes you think, you're in something special when you're in a beta, and and plus it's bi-directional. It's helping everybody stress test in a controlled environment. So instead of saying there is a Division demo that runs from now until the end of time, you're actually saying you've got a chance to play it. If you haven't pre-ordered, you've got a chance to play it. It's going to be on the Xbox. It's going to be on the PlayStation Dash. You've got a chance to play it from the 18th on Xbox, the 19th on PlayStation 4 or PC, until the 21st of February. So I would wholeheartedly, if you're on the fence or just interested to see what's got me so excited, then kind of jump in.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes you feel part of a community as well, doing it that way.
Oh, absolutely, it really does. Yeah, like you say, those kind of 4 days, it really does make you feel like you're something, part of something special.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next item with myself is Amazon, that lovely shop that we all love, are releasing a new free game engine called Lumberyard. They announced this yesterday, so that will be the 9th of February. Excuse me. And so it looks like the speculation that was rife on the internet about them purchasing the CryEngine license was correct. So it looks like they've acquired the CryEngine license for, we don't know the exact price, but $50 to $75 million. And I think that the price reflects that they wanted sort of infinite licenses for it. And they're releasing it free for anybody that's interested to download this engine and start developing, making games, applications using this engine from Amazon. The CryEngine is a beautiful engine as well. Crytek engine. That's the engine that underpins the likes of Far Cry, and has evolved with those games to its current state. So, yeah, interesting, very interesting.
No, it really is. I mean, is there any stipulation for using it as a free game engine? Do you have to then? Can you only distribute it via Amazon? Has Amazon got like a distribution network or something like that?
Let me have a look at what they've written.
Maybe fact check that.
Yeah, let me just check that out for you. Oh, that would make really interesting listening. My garbling on like that. Amazon will not charge any kind of royalty or subscription fee. So it's seeming like not. I don't understand the business angle there.
That's really interesting. It's interesting that they also bought a network code based as well, with double helix.
Yeah, and mobile support is coming as well.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So
so if we get these PCs that we keep threatening to get, we could download this and maybe dip our toe into creative. If we've got an idea, it doesn't have to be sort of. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an amazing, The Witcher 3. But, with a tool, you can start making some basic games and just having a fiddle around. I'd like to try. I wanted to try sort of developing apps for iPhone and iPad, but I haven't got a Mac, and you can only use the dev kit on a Mac. So,
really?
Yeah, you can download the dev kit for. I've forgotten what it's called for developing for iPad and
Xcode.
Yeah. For free. I mean, obviously Apple take their cut and stuff, but it doesn't run on a PC. So I've never done it. I've got an old Mac, but it's just not up to the job, so I've never done it. So, and I never bought a Mac, so this would be interesting. This would be something that I'd be tempted to have a look at, just to see. I won't be able to do anything great with it, but you could appreciate how difficult it is, if nothing else, can't you?
Yes.
So if you want to have a look at that, it's called Lumberyard, the engine, and free to download and start to develop with, start to grasp, start to understand. I bet there's going to be loads of YouTube videos stepping you through how to use it. So it's great, It means it's just giving people more access. I mean, you've got Unity as well out there, another engine, but I'm not sure if that's as free as this, So yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
and
that's really. I mean, it's quite interesting to see. Last week we saw GameStop doing it, publishing, and now we're seeing Amazon buying an engine. It's really interesting to see these retailers kind of diversifying and finding other ways to get avenues and kind of investing in the games industry.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So it's just, I don't know. It just really surprised me to see that piece of news that Amazon bought it and that they're giving it away for free. I think encouraging people to get involved in the development of games is I just think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm going to have a look because I feel that it would be remiss of me not to. It's there to have a look at. I've never tinkered with it before, and I appreciate that there's a lot of work to learn it, but I would like to get a basic understanding of how it's put together. And they usually have within these engines, they'll have sort of demos of what you can do, in basic sort of like demos of what it can do. I think Flappy Bird was one of the sort of packs that was included in the dev kit for either the Android dev kit or the Apple dev kit, and the guy just like tweaked it very slightly or something. From where I don't know if that's true, it might just be a rumor that I read. But yeah, you could look at something. Maybe there's something basic there, and you can just look from right at the sort of bottom of the food chain, just what the first building blocks of putting something together are, and it'd just be interesting to be able to tinker with that yourself. I think it's just really cool, and there'll be other guys that are just going to grab this and make some fantastic stuff.
Yes, indeed. No, it'd be really interesting. Really interesting to see what starts coming out of it. When you'll start seeing Lumberyard as a splash screen as a game's loading, and it just be seeing kind of what exactly is going to come from this.
That would be nice.
And like you say, where their profits going to come from as well.
Yeah, that we'll see. That remains to be seen, and we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Next up is me. This is a very quick one. Rocket League, a big favourite of James's. You kind of got into it, didn't you, when you first started? I've had a dabble.
Yeah, it's a good game. I like it. It's just there's been other stuff. That's it.
Yes,
I like the game. I haven't deleted it from my PS4. I've still got it there.
Yes. I don't think we've ever kind of clocked up as much time as James on this one, but it's coming to Xbox, so it's going to be coming to Xbox One on the 17th of February. So anyone who doesn't know kind of what Rocket League, it's kind of soccer meets driving in a kind of sports action kind of craziness, or as when I play, it's just me screaming at a ball in a car. But this is coming to Xbox One, and it's coming to Xbox One with some new features as well, or some new cars. We're going to have a Warthog from Halo. We're going to have the Armadillo from Gears of War. Sunset Overdrive have also announced that they're going to have some fizzy related stuff. So you'll see the kind of the drink coming out of the back of your car in Rocket League. It's going to have all of that. It's going to include the premium packs, the DLC packs that were available on the PlayStation, which is the Supersonic Fury, the Revenge of Battle Cars, and Chaos Run. So you're going to get all of that, and you're going to get kind of a whole big pack. And it's going to be available on the 17th of February. So we're only kind of 7 days, a week away from this coming to Xbox One. However, the kind of, I guess, not the kind of but it's not going to be a free-to-play title. So if you remember when Rocket League was released on the PlayStation Network, it was a PlayStation Plus title for that month. So I think a lot of people, I think it's kind of built its foundation of fans on the fact that it was free-to-play. But this is going to be $19, so $20 really, $19.99, or the kind of UK equivalent, which I guess is going to be about $15.99, kind of around that price for Rocket League. So it comes out next week. It's going to cost between $19, £15, and it's going to have a whole bunch of DLC.
Cool. So yeah, it's built its reputation from being a PlayStation Plus game.
Yeah,
and it'll be really great to see it sell well after they've given it away free. I don't know how it works with what they get paid for that, but obviously they've either decided or the opportunity wasn't there to do the same on Xbox. I think one day it will come as a free game, in the future, because it just fits that niche. But it would be nice to see this selling a lot because of the hype that it's got from being a free game. I don't think it would have got that amount of recognition if it hadn't been a PlayStation Plus game, and it sort of launched it up there, didn't it? Because you get a lot of focus being one of those games. You get a heck of a lot of focus. It helps that it's a fantastic game as well. So I'm really hoping that the recognition that it's had from the PlayStation 4 side of things is gonna launch it as a proper, priced game that people will have to pay for on Xbox, and it'll be really interesting to see how it sells.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting what you said there. And do you think that games with gold and PlayStation Plus kind of harm titles like this, where you look at this game and think, that'll be free in a couple of months' time, so I'm not going to buy it? Do you think sometimes that is a factor? And I kind of never really thought about that before, where you look at these indie titles and you do think, that'll be out on free in a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
Do you think that sometimes when you see these titles?
Yeah, I do sometimes, and I suppose it just depends though, because it's sort of the balance is, it's like, how much do you want to play it versus patience?
Yes. Yeah.
And you might think, if it was very close to the change of the games, then I may, if I really wanted a game, I may be able to resist for like 2 days to see what if we're talking like the end of the month. And then if it wasn't on it, I'd be like, right, that's it. I can't. And if I can't wait another month, I'd just buy it. But yeah, I've had the flip side as well, where I have bought a game, and then I'm thinking, I hope that it's not free next month, because I'll just feel bad for paying for it, But yes. I think some people do wait, and I think for some people they'll think that this will come free on games with gold, but it's not a guarantee. I mean, they do sometimes flip-flop, don't they? It's like Styx, for instance, became free on that's a games with gold currently, I think, game, and that was out on PS4 a while ago. So they do alternate between each platform, but it's not a guarantee. So it's just about how much you want to play the game, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, no,
and I think it would be ridiculous to bring it out as a full price game and then it would not garner good PR and a happy user base for them to announce it like this as a full price game and then make it free next month or something, would it? Because everybody would be like, I can't believe they did that to me. Hate, and all this. So, I think it's going to be a paid game for, several months to come. And when sales start to plateau, they'll consider, I don't know how it works, they'll consider if they've got that opportunity to give it as a Games with Gold game at that point, and then sort of that'll inject a bit more vigour into it then, won't it? And yeah.
It's just really interesting just hearing you say that. That really did just kind of like spark kind of like lots of kind of questions. I'd love to know what the if you're an indie developer and you have a title, are you faced with you can give it away free and we'll pay you this big bag of cash or this moderate bag of cash, or do you charge people for it and you take the gamble of whether it's going to become a big title? Like when Rocket League was on the PlayStation Store, does the company get a cut of money per download for the PSN, or does Sony just say here's some cash, we're giving your game away for free? And did they once kind of sit around and go, shall we do that, or shall we give it away for $19.99 and see how many people buy it? And it's a really interesting kind of, I'd love to talk to somebody about that, just kind of the dynamics of that, and whether that is the case when a game's coming up for the Games with Gold or PlayStation Network.
Yeah, I wonder if we should do a bit of research into it, because I don't know if it's a secret. I imagine the figures will be. Maybe it's a different deal they do with every different developer stroke publisher. I suppose it'd be the developer then.
Oh, I can feel a Lost Spark article coming on.
Yeah, I think.
There you go. There's the birth of this article. There, you heard it here. That's really interesting. It's funny, isn't it? Just a little off the cuff comment that you said just kind of sparked something in my brain. Right, next piece of news, Daz, is with you.
Yeah, this is also a quick one, and I don't know if you remember me waxing lyrical about the beautiful indie game Downwell that I've been playing, and I'm still playing. I missed it off the list, but I've been playing that on Steam. Beautiful indie game of falling down a well with gun boots, shooting stuff. It's a roguelike again. I do like my roguelike indie games. And yeah, it's. I remember I was setting it up. I don't think it's got controller support. Because I plugged my Xbox One controller into my laptop, and I was all opposed to TV out and sit down and play it on a controller, but it didn't work. And I went on some forums and they said it's not included. There's no support for controller included in this game, and I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying it anyway, because you only use left and right and space to play the game, which is move left and right and fire. But it's a bit disappointing because also it's like, you only use that, but it's kind of like, well, you only use that, it'd be no hardship, almost nothing to get controller to work for that. But anyway, it doesn't really work on PC. And I was thinking, it's a shame, because I wanted it on console firstly. It was just that it wasn't available on console, that I got it on Steam because I couldn't wait, that patience thing again. But anyway, so a week after I buy it on Steam, it's coming. It's announced that it's going to come to PlayStation platforms soon.
Wow.
So that's cool. Japanese PlayStation site has said that it will be coming to PS4 and Vita soon, and that was courtesy of Kotaku that I found that information out. So it's really good because it means that you might play it.
Yes,
and it's just a dead good game. It's a great game for your Vita. Fantastic game. If you've got 5 minutes somewhere, you can definitely have several goals on Downwell and just enjoy yourself. It's just a cool game. Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm definitely going to get that on Vita because, with the instant on with Vita, you don't have to wait for it to boot up or anything like that. And like I say, I think it's just a case of, on the train, quick kind of turn the Vita on, and then, as you were saying last week, before you know it, an hour's gone.
Yeah,
and
it's so good, Tony.
60 goes of Downwell.
Yeah,
so.
You love it. It's brilliant. And it's a contender for a PS Plus game, actually. So could come out as that. Even better, because I'd love to get it on the big screen and play on a pad. It's just a cool game.
Fantastic. I'll keep an eye out for that. So if you can let me know when that's coming out, that'd be Awesome. Last piece of news is with me, and this broke today. Telltale released the dates for the Walking Dead Michonne miniseries. So anyone who's kind of watched Walking Dead, Michonne is the kind of badass with a big sword, and she's kind of one of my favourite characters in both TV and also in the comic books. So we're going to get a 3-part Michonne series, which I cannot wait for. And this is going to be coming out on the 23rd of February. We get episode 1, Into the Deep, comes out. Same kind of look to the Walking Dead Telltale visuals. It looks exactly the same. It's going to be using the same engine. So this comes out 23rd for everything. You know, it's PC, it's Mac, it's PlayStation 4, 3, Xbox One, Xbox 360. It's on your fridge. It's everywhere. So it's just going to be. So this is coming out. So we're getting this in February. Episode 1 is in February 23rd. In March, we get episode 2, which is entitled Give No Shelter. And then in April, we get the final episode which is titled What We Deserve. So all of these, it's going to be the Telltale blog said it's going to be $14.99 for the kind of season pass, which is kind of all 3 of those episodes. So that just sounds like it's going to be fantastic. It looks incredible, and it's kind of set, anyone who's reading the Kirkman comic books, it's set between issue number, getting Walking Dead nerdy now, issue number 126 and 139. Michonne goes missing. She's just not there in those issues, and this miniseries is filling in that backstory of where she went, of kind of what happened with Michonne while she was absent from the comic books. So I can't wait to play this. And also, one of the great things about this blog post is that they were saying that, you know, we hope you enjoy this, you know, hope you enjoy it, and then just to let you know, we're hard at work at the full 3rd season of The Walking Dead. So I was just like, colour me happy.
Wow, it's so up your street, isn't it? It's sort of like heaven for you, this.
It really is. It just kind of, they don't stop. You know, Telltale, I mean, we have said previously, I wish they would stop, update their engine so it doesn't chug so much. But they just don't stop with all this great stuff. You know, if you remember back with the Game Awards, we got teased with a Batman Telltale game. So it's just fantastic. I love these kind of narrative-driven Telltale games. So this one is just fantastic. Can't wait for February 23rd.
Yeah, I wonder if with the success with Life is Strange, if Don't Nod, if they bring out, I wonder if they're going to bring out more of that type of game, and if they might give, because it's sort of exclusive. Telltale have just got this, haven't they, at the moment, and they've had this sort of game genre to themselves for so long. But Life is Strange type games from Don't Nod, if they're going to carry on with that genre, they could maybe inch in a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you're spot on. You know, what they could do is that, you know, you can imagine another IP now going to the Life is Strange guys and saying, we'd like you to do, you know, exactly what they're doing over there with Telltale, but with our IP, you know, because that would be fantastic. Because, you know, it'll be interesting to see what they do next. I'll definitely be watching that studio with interest now that they've kind of piqued my interest with that awesome game that is Life is Strange.
Yeah, we will see. We will see.
So yes, so that is the end of our kind of regular news. It's now time that we head over to our VR news desk for all the latest in VR. VR desk.
Yeah, here we are. We've moved over again into the VR room.
I love it over here.
It's so nice. It's so nice.
It's all future tech, isn't it, over here?
It's plush. It's plush, I think. I like to use the word plush. Yeah, it's very nice in here. And the acoustics, I find, they're just that touch better than in the normal newsroom.
Yeah, but I think James left last week and he didn't leave his smoking jacket behind. So I think he liked it a little bit too much.
He did. And James, if you're listening, when you return it, please wash it first. just wash it. In fact, if you maybe just keep it. You can keep it, mate. It's
yours. Just bring it when you're on next.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll do a Twitter giveaway of one of the VR smoking jackets.
Like I say, mine has to have patches.
Absolutely.
So what have we got over here in our VR news desk? What's happening in the world of VR?
In the world of VR, it's hectic as always. We've got the news of an article that was written by techradar.com. And it's a good practical article about the HTC Vive.
Right.
It's all very well me bleating on each week saying, Vive, I'm going to get Vive. This looks at the practicalities of getting it. And the biggest seller of Vive, why would you get a Vive rather than an Oculus? Well, for me, the reason, and I suspect the reason that most people would go for Vive rather than Oculus, is because that's the only VR system currently that's going to offer you the opportunity to walk around within three-dimensional space. Oculus is a seated experience that will track your head movement. I think there's a degree of lean in there as well that it will track, but only with HTC Vive can it track you walking around within an area of your lounge or wherever you've set it up. And that, for me, is the selling point. That's the USP, and it's the USP that hooked me from the start. It's the holodeck that you're getting. But with a great experience comes great responsibility of working out how the heck you're going to set it up. So
yes.
Tech Radar have got hold of the kit and been able to test it. And they've written an article that I'll put in the show notes, actually, about the practicalities of how it's going to run, which is the first article that I've seen of its like. And I think you found this, Antony, and added it to the notes. And it's really interesting. It's a really great article, and it's just there because it's a lot of money. It's a big investment. We don't know the price of the Vive yet, but we know it's pretty much going to be more than the Oculus, so it's going to be more than £499.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big investment. Some people, like me and Antony, to make it run are also going to have to buy a PC. A lot of people that own PCs are going to have to upgrade their graphics card or other components. So it's an investment that some people would also think you're mad to do, like me. I started to think that I was mad the other day, that I'm thinking of getting one without actually testing it first. But there's not really an easy way to test these, because finding a test model in the wild is just like hen's teeth. You know, it's very difficult. If they do an event, it's just sold out, or the tickets go in a jiffy. We both tried for EGX, didn't we, Antony? And we weren't lucky enough to get in. But that's because they give the users, the testers, the demo people, they give the user a good amount of time. They allocate 15 minutes per person, and in an 8-hour show, there's only so many slices of 15 minutes. They don't. Yes. They give everybody a good demo, a quality demo, and because of that, it's difficult to get in. It's probably easier if you're in the States, the hometown of Vive. I think there's more going on. But over in Blighty, it's difficult. I've reached out to Vive to try and rectify this. And hopefully, if we open a communication channel, might be able to get some more information. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till I most probably get one. And then Antony's going to fly around the breadth of the country to have a look at it when I say, oh my goodness, it's amazing. Or he'll just laugh at me and say I'm a mug when I say, actually, it's a bit of a letdown.
Oh, no. I have said on this fine podcast that the moment when you get a shipping tracking notification, I'm coming to Blackpool, I want to see your little face when you open that package.
I'll have 2 dots on my GPS. One will be the Vive routing through, and the other one will be just very close behind it. Will be you.
Yes,
incoming to my little Spark Tower.
Exactly. I want to film it. I want to film the unboxing of kind of you setting this up.
I'm going to look like a 7-year-old on Christmas morning. I think it's going to be truly amazing, man, and you will as well. We'll both just be giggling and loving it, man. It's going to be amazing. I hope it will be as amazing as I'm hoping.
So in order to set our room up, what do we do now? Now, because you're saying now this one's interesting because you're saying that kind of with HTC Vive, it tracks you. So we have our headset, we've got our kind of controllers, we've got our head-mounted device, we've got our PC. What else do we need in our room in order to notice that we're moving? What else does HTC Vive come with?
Right, well, you get these little they're like lighthouse boxes or base station boxes. You get 2 of them that you put in opposite corners of your room.
Okay.
They can go on speaker stands, or they can, I think the recommended way is that they go on brackets on your wall. So you kind of need a permanent room where you're going to use them. I think they will work off speaker stands as well, so they're more portable that way. But they need to be, at both sides of the area that you're gonna roam about in. So that's an extra consideration. So with Vive, you get the HMD, the head-mounted device. You get the controllers, which is great. You get a whole bundle of cables because it uses a lot. And that's another difference because most of the games on Vive, or the experiences on Vive, they, a little bit like the Wii, the Wii used the Wiimote a lot. The games are immersive experiences, and you use those controllers within the environment to use the stuff to interact with what's in the environments. Now, interestingly, Oculus didn't bundle their touch controllers in with the Oculus package. That they're coming later. They've not been released with the Oculus package.
Right.
They bundle an Xbox One controller in. Now, a lot of the reports that I've read of people that have been hands-on with different VR technologies have said that VR works best when you're reaching out with your hand, opening a drawer, closing a drawer, using your hand as a gun, or it morphs into a shield or whatever. It just works, like the Wiimote. It just works because you're holding something in your hand, and that's how it will be in real life. And a pad sort of breaks that a little bit.
Right.
So maybe Oculus missed a trick there because they're going to sell that. That's an additional cost with Oculus.
Right.
But you get it thrown in with the HTC Vive, but I don't think you get a pad with the Vive. So you get the two controllers, which are odd things, but they look like they're very good for what they do. But obviously they're very different than we're used to because this is a different kind of technology. The headset itself, you need to get the two lighthouse bases as well to map the your tracking, track you through your movements.
So these are going to be similar to my satellite surround sound speakers.
Yeah, they're like a little satellite speaker. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Right.
The interesting thing you don't get, which I thought you would get, is the headphones for your sound. You may have thought that was obvious that you wouldn't get it. I sort of thought you would get the sound with it as well.
Okay.
So you were right because you've got loads of different headsets, haven't you? Really good ones.
Yeah.
I've got some too, which are all right, but they're not sort of top notch. So I don't know whether I'd have to invest in a better pair. But if you haven't got headphones, you're going to need to get headphones as well to experience the sound. So that's something you might have thought take for granted that came with it, but it does not. So this is a really great article looking into the practicalities of setting it up in a room, a little bit like we had to think about with Kinect. Not that I'd like to compare them. Hopefully it won't go the same way as Kinect. But it says that the minimum area, and this is the interesting and the important part of it, if you're interested in thinking of getting one, the minimum area of clear space that you're going to need to use Vive effectively is 1.5 by 2 metres. So not much, actually. It's not as bad as I thought when I saw this article. I thought it was going to say you need like 5 by 5 metres, and that was it. So it will scale down to give you an immersive experience of walking around in a VR area or in a game. 1.5 by 2 metres. I think the maximum is 5 by 5 metres. So if you can clear a space from 1.5 by 2 metres up to 5 by 5, it'll scale that for you. So that's the question you've got to ask. Can you make that space in your lounge or wherever it's going to be without having to move furniture all the time? If you're going to have to move everything all the time, is that something you think you're going to want to do? All those kind of questions. So yeah, you're going to need that space. And you're going to need it to be pretty clutter-free because you're going to have the cable trailing around after you as well. You've got to be careful of that because you could trip over it. Though I think now with the camera, it does show it up slightly, I think.
Right.
Also, I'm sort of used to this because I've got a projector. I've got these bases covered that it's going to talk about now. But it says that mirrors are bad news. You need to cover mirrors because it affects the tracking.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Yeah, this is all news to me. As will Windows. Yeah. Windows and other sources of direct sunlight. So yeah, they're out as well. They can affect it. Direct sunlight, too much light can affect the tracking. It says that the base station boxes, the tracking boxes, need to be wall mounted, and I've covered this. They can't be any further than 5 metres apart. But the good thing is they are wireless. So that's quite a good feature. These tracking boxes are wireless. And they track your movement. Your headset's covered in trackers. The controllers have got trackers on, and these track that. So there you go. That's the practicalities of getting Vive. If you've been interested in it, if you're up for getting this experience, I am, because it's the holodeck experience that sells it to me.
Yes.
But before you invest, that's what you need to think about. Is it feasible for you to use it? Have you got either a room that you can use for it, spare room, or if you're going to have it in the lounge? Like for me, I think it's sort of going to go in the lounge with the PC, and then I'm going to have the PC also wired so that it outputs on the monitor in a study as well, and have it so I can turn it on and off, sort of wake on LAN sort of thing. I thought about it a little bit. Yeah, they're the questions that you need to ask yourself, because you're going to have to need some space. And if you've got a room that's got loads of stuff in it, are you going to be willing to move the stuff when you want to walk about? Because if you're not, I don't think there's any real point in getting Vive, because Vive's USP is the walking around in a free space in a virtual world. That's what it gives you. And if you can't do that, and Vive, depending on the price, I mean, if it's the same as Oculus, you might think, well, I'll get it and I'll just walk about when I want to. But if there's a big jump from Oculus, it may be wise just to stick with Oculus or just stick with PSVR. So it's interesting, and it's the first thing that I've seen that actually talked about the practicalities of using it like that, and it's necessary to know this information.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. Where you have to be able to, if you want to kind of use this, it has to be at your fingertips. The way that we've set up the movie room is that everything is just available. Because the last thing you want to do is be able to like drag a cable out, plug this in, because you're not going to use it, are you? Where if it's just a case of taking your head-mounted device off a shelf, sticking it on, and everything is there. Because looking at that article, one of the great things about those satellite speakers is that they're wireless. Yeah. So there's no, obviously they need to be powered, but there's no wires, because you know how much I hate wires. So that's the kind of cool thing. It's like, Disney Infinity, and I'm not comparing the two, but Disney Infinity, it used to be a right faff, because I used to have to kind of plug in the USB and all of that. So all I did was I just bought myself a really long extension cable. So now when I want to play Disney Infinity, I pop up my gaming trunk, take it out, and I'm playing straight away. And that's the thing, isn't it? You don't want to be into an environment where you've got to get the speakers out, plug this into your PC. You want to be able to just kind of plug and play straight away. Otherwise, you lose that kind of willingness to play, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and it becomes the equivalent of the kitchen gadget that stays in the cupboard.
Exactly. And
you don't want that because there's such an outlay involved. I'm pleasantly surprised with the minimum area being just 1.5 by 2 meters. That's smaller than I expected, and I'm assuming that gives you a comfortable and rich experience. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, when we went to EGX, they were showing Vive off, and they were showing them in just little rooms, wasn't there? There was like 4 or 5 little rooms, so they were doing the walk around there, and that worked. So it just shows that you don't need a big space. But I guess the key thing, as you were saying there, is it needs to be clutter-free.
Yeah, it needs to be, because you're going to be kind of blinded by the HMD. It's not mixed reality, and it has got this camera now on the front, which is going to show up physical obstacles in a sort of transparent vector kind of way. So you should be safe, but to enjoy the experience to the most, you don't want to have to be conscious of that. So yeah, it's all about being clutter free. I think just moving a coffee table out of the way is probably not too much to ask.
No, absolutely. It's like when I used to play Connect in my old house. That's what we used to do. We used to just, move the coffee table out the way, and then off you go. You're ready to kind of play and stuff like that. So yeah,
but humping couches about is out of the question.
Yes, moving your entire room or getting those speakers out of the cupboard and plugging them in, and making sure everything is. And that's the one thing that I think, as this tech has evolved, seeing that you can just you can take it off and then hand it to the next person, and they can just play it straight away. There's not that, can you see this? I'm just going to have to just adjust this. It is a case of sticking it on and off they go. And I think that's kind of one of the things that have definitely improved, with these kits as they have evolved.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting closer. 29th pre-order day. We'll see what the price is.
19 days to go.
Wow, it's like a little advent calendar. Cool.
It's quite funny because obviously, as I was saying earlier, SkyQ gets it on the 1st, and then the 29th, that's kind of HTC Vive. And I got a meeting today going, would you mind being in this office on the 29th? And I'm like, I didn't really I kind of want to be where they're, and I was just quite interested. I'm working my calendar around this tech announcement.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this. I can't wait. Yeah, so that's that. The next piece we've got is IGN did a little article of their 11 most anticipated VR games of 2016. So we're mentioning games more and more, aren't we? As Oculus comes closer to release and the orders have gone in and HTC Vive's coming. So it's good to talk about a little bit about the games. So this is also a link that we'll put on the show notes, because some of these games are just a bit hard to explain, really. I don't know that much about them, because you sort of have to experience this stuff in VR or just watch the video, really. So what we've got is we've got 11 games. I'm going to quickly read what they're called, very brief sort of taste of what they look like they are, and the platform, so people can get an idea of what's out on what. So the first one is an Oculus Rift exclusive, and that's called Edge of Nowhere. And this game is and its unique USP, if you like, is the action playing out from a more traditional third-person perspective, and you explore the depths of terrifying Antarctic mountains. So that should be pretty cool. It's also being developed exclusively for VR by the guys that developed Sunset Overdrive, Ratchet and Clank, and Resistance, Insomniac games. So that should be cool. You know, they've got a good reputation. I read and have played a third-person game, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it worked very well. But as long as the camera doesn't get wrested away from you, it might be okay. So that is Edge of Nowhere, and I'm sure the devs know what they're doing. Edge of Nowhere, and that is only coming on Oculus Rift. So explore the Antarctic mountains. That sounds cool. 100-foot robot golf, we've talked about before.
Yes!
PSVR and PlayStation 4. But PSVR is where you're going to want to play that game. It's all about the VR. Really, we don't need to explain that. It's your 100-foot robot playing golf.
I want this game so much.
That's gonna be cool. I hope that comes in the bundle with PSVR. Then we've got on Oculus Rift and PlayStation VR Eve Valkyrie, which looks great. It's I think it's sort of a condensed version of Eve Online. So it's a space combat game, which suits it. Anything in a cockpit or a seat is going to suit VR really well. So if you've got an Oculus, you've got a PSVR, you're going to be able to play this game. It's going to be fantastic. Piloting a ship, I think that's going to be great. I've put an Oculus on in Elite Dangerous and looked around the cockpit and looked at the asteroids around me and the planets in the distance. It was a moving experience for somebody, as I said before, that played Elite first on a Commodore 64. Yeah, really amazing. And as I say, cockpit games are going to suit VR down to the ground, and you don't need a Vive for that because you just sat. Next one, just on Oculus, The Climb. So this sounds like it might tamper with anyone that's got a bit of vertigo, because these games trick your brain so much, or the VR experience apparently tricks your brain that much. You're going to really feel things like height and scale. So this is from Crytek, and it's all about the perils of rock climbing, and apparently it's in equal parts terrifying and exhilarating. Sounds scary, but the video looks great, you know.
It looks scary because it's just kind of like, it's almost like the Thing from Addams Family climbing, isn't it?
Yeah, two disembodied hands climbing. That's scary on its own. But then you look down. I wonder if these games are actually going to make your sort of tummy turn, even though you're static on the floor. It's going to be really weird to see what it does. It's just a shame we haven't played enough to know in VR, but we will soon. Next one, on Oculus Rift, PSVR and HTC Vive, so hitting all the big three. The Assembly, and this apparently has one of the most thought out and established worlds in any VR experience. It's made by developer Dreams, and what you do in this game is you play from different points of view, and it makes the game questionable and disturbing. And it sort of affects your personal perception of the game as well. It's a bit like, it's one of these slower paced walk 'em up kind of games. So this is one of those immersive story type games that we always say, you know, is going to suit the format really well. So this is going to be very interesting, and I don't know if I fancy scary games, but there you go. The Assembly should be good.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. You know, kind of these slow paced kind of walking games. You know, when I've been playing Firewatch, it's I just can imagine that in VR.
It's as if it's made for VR, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. That Ollie Moss Vista is just amazing.
Yeah. I would love to see the sun set or rise in VR in a game like that. Yeah, definitely. Next up, Res Infinite, which we saw. I think it was the latest. It was the PSX PlayStation Experience, and it's PlayStation 4 and PSVR. Obviously, it'd be good and fun on PSVR. And yeah, we all know Res, or if you don't, have a look at it. It's a great game, and it's a game that it was as if it was built for VR 20 years ago when it came out, or whenever it came out. It was a long time ago. 2001, the original Res. So 15 years ago it came out, and it's a rhythm action game. It's sort of like vector graphics, reminds me of the Lawnmower Man a little bit. Shooting game. Looks like fun. Next up, Adrift, hitting Oculus Rift and PSVR. There's not much Vive on here, is there? Adrift looks good. Space game again. This is about being buried alive. Oh, sorry. No, it's not about being buried alive. I'm looking at the wrong thing there. Floating in space with nothing to see or grab onto. This is going to.
This looks like that Sandra Bullock movie.
Yeah, Gravity.
In VR, doesn't it? It just looks like Gravity in VR.
Yeah. So that would be really cool. And this is what excites me about is the experiences like this, of it tricking me into actually feeling that I am orbiting the Earth and things like that. So yeah, it's gonna simulate the tale of an astronaut trapped in space. So maybe some decisions you make. Do I use these resources? Can I grab onto that? But if I try and grab onto that, I'll use energy that I could have used elsewhere. I'm not really sure. I'm just making that up, but it does look good. The screenshot looks really beautiful as well. It looks really nice.
No, it looks stunning. It's such a stunning looking game.
Yeah, and then we've got Affected. This is just on Oculus, and this looks like a scary game. It looks like Resident Evil type of house that you're exploring in here. A virtual reality horror experience. So that's how it's being built, and it's dedicated to just scaring you. And it's weird, the screenshot is just a corridor, but it just looks straight out of the Resident Evil mansion to me, and it just gives me the creeps just looking at that. I'd like to test my nerve on something like that, but that's Oculus only, that one. Then we've got Lucky's Tale, which is obviously Oculus Rift. It's a game that comes bundled with the Oculus. And it's sort of a bright and bold VR experience that I'm not really sure what you do in it, to be honest. It makes me want to think it's a platform game, but I don't know how it's going to. It is a platform game, but I don't know how it's going to work. But IGN says once you've experienced it, you start. It does work, when it clicks with you and it's okay. So Lucky's Tale, which is a nice cartoony platformy game. That, again, I just don't understand how it works, but apparently it does. I'll just take IGN's word for that. We've got Riggs, which is a PSVR only game, which looks like a mech shooter, and that looks really cool. That looks really nice.
Yeah, that looks great. They showed the trailer, didn't they, at the Paris Games Week, and it just looked like it could be good fun. It's like a VR Rocket League type thing, couldn't it?
Yeah, a sort of mix of Unreal Tournament. Well, that's got me already. Basketball and mechs. Wow.
Yes,
that's really cool.
Again, that needs to be, if that was bundled with PlayStation VR, to have that one game that when your friend comes round to kind of see what it's all about, you just say, right, wear this, have a go, or as you were saying, buy two of these and then kind of play kind of couch co-op.
Yeah, then that would be great, wouldn't it? 2-player in this, and that would just be amazing. And then the final one is Alt Space VR. This one I've not heard of, and this is on Oculus Rift 5. Everything really: Oculus Rift, Vive, Perception Neuron, Leap Motion, Microsoft Kinect, and Samsung Gear VR. So everything except PSVR, by the look of it. And this, I can't really tell much from the screenshot, but it's almost limitless application of the VR technology called Alt Space VR. It's not really a game; it's more of a social platform. Maybe it's a bit like PlayStation's Home, which probably would have worked better if it was a VR home. So maybe it's a little bit like Second Life. So the avatars are emotive based on your real-world movements and input, which immediately creates a believable sense of interaction between people. IGN had a go on a game of tabletop Dungeons & Dragons while in Alt Space VR, and they say that it felt like they were all in the same room together instead of spread across the state. So that sounds pretty cool. Interesting thing to keep an eye on. But yeah, at the moment it just looks like Second Life or something like that, which is no bad thing. Those sort of things I'm sure are going to thrive and grow within VR. So that's the IGN's 11 most anticipated VR titles. And yeah, we'll add the link so you can watch there's a few videos there. It's not all screenshots, so it's probably worth having a look at those.
I've stuck that in the link section for the pod page this week.
Fantastic. So the next item is that Oculus Rift are doing PC bundles, which are Oculus ready, starting on February the 16th. So yeah, about a week away. They start at $1,499 for the cheapest one, but that's Oculus ready, certified by Oculus. So that's pretty cool. And then they go up to sort of whatever you want to pay. Now, the cheapest one, which is the $1,500 Asus Tower, has a Skylake Intel Core i5 processor. It's got an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970 card and 8 gig of memory. And from there, the specs just go up. The most expensive bundle is from Dell. It's an Alienware Area 51 desktop, which has got an i7 processor from the Haswell generation, the earlier one, 16 gig of memory, and a GTX 980 graphics card, which is what I think the graphics card you need for VR. That comes in at $3,149. And then you've got a few models in between those. So I've just given you the cheapest and the most expensive, and you can take your pick in between. But the $1,500 to run Oculus, $1,500, that sort of sits okay with me.
But does that bundle include Oculus as well?
No.
Right.
No, that's just for the PC that has been certified to run it. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me read this.
These are going to be sold. These are going to be sold on the February the 16th
and we'll
from
include
Amazon,
it.
Microsoft, and Best Buy, and they do come with the headset included.
Yeah, they do come with the headset. That's really good then.
Yeah, so for $1,500, you get that kind of Asus tower with Oculus included. I mean,
sorry about that. I stand corrected. Sorry about that.
The Alien 51 desktop, that's the kind of one that's always piqued my eye. Maybe not that generation one, maybe kind of a couple of steps back, but that's the one that's always kind of piqued my interest, because I think that would fit nicely alongside kind of the Xboxes and the PlayStations that are in my AV cupboard. I think that would kind of fit quite nicely there.
Yeah, so I'm just sort of reeling with my error there, because I was kind of happy with that Asus one at $1,500. Thinking that it didn't include that you had to buy the headset on top. I'm just quite shocked that it includes it. I think that's great.
Well, that's cool, because that means that you can, because most of these are, you can tweak them a little bit, so you might be able to add an extra $500 worth of goodness on there, like more hard drive space or more memory, or
flog the 970 card for, I don't know, £200 or something, and then buy a 980.
But they're nice beasts, aren't they?
They are. They're good looking machines, and they've got some power, and that's what you need. The thing is, I think they're going to start to. I think there's going to be a wave of graphics cards that are being engineered specifically for VR, and that's kind of worries me a little bit because I'm eager and anxious and gonna rush in. I'm looking at the key card I'm looking at getting is a GTX 980. But I'm just a bit conscious that they're going to develop cards that's specifically for VR. And maybe the 980 is the wrong one to get, but it's kind of what you do. It's the only option at the moment. I suppose I'll just have to sell the 980 and get another one at a later date. I've sort of got that on my mind. I don't want to make a mistake, but until I find out how much Vive's going to be, I haven't really started to put my PC together. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, that's fabulous that you get the Oculus with it. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, like I say, that's available from Best Buy, Microsoft Store, and also Amazon. It's worthwhile noting that's kind of Amazon.com, and we'll stick a link to those in the show notes. But also on Amazon.co.uk, they also have a virtual reality section as well, giving you kind of everything you need to know about Oculus, PlayStation VR, and also HTC Vive, which is quite cool. And for each one of those, you can register interest as well from those pages. Which is very interesting how they're all kind of gearing up to kind of sell VR.
Yeah, I don't think those offers can be bought from the UK and shipped here, or if you probably could do, but it's not. We can't get them from a UK distributor. So
no, I'm looking at Amazon.co.uk. Like those links that we'll put in the show notes all kind of are the US.
Yeah. So it's more for an idea, isn't it? It's giving us. If you're in UK, that gives you an idea. But it's a shame because I think we need some offers like that. We need some UK outlets where we can get this kit from and not have to pay, excessive duty and what have you, and shipping fees that you'd have to pay for a PC. And also we could do with similar prices instead of
Absolutely. I mean, don't forget that scan.co.uk, they have some really good PCs, and they have these PCs as well. You'll be able to get the Alienware ones from Dell, etc. So they are kind of available, but you just have to kind of scout them out. Yeah. But maybe we should start putting a section on our website of like kind of cool PC offers or something. So we could have that down the left-hand side, just so where people know where to go to get these really good deals.
Yeah, and certainly if I get Vive, I'll be there doing that. So I'll do that as part of what I'm doing, piecing my PC together, because I'll be looking for the best deal I possibly can get, and it's just a bit of a minefield. So maybe we can help people with what they need, things like that. Looking to, avoiding bottlenecks and things like that. It'll be an interesting time. But yeah, that'd be a really cool thing to do. A definitive guide to what PC you need.
Absolutely. You know, if you look on Amazon right now, on amazon.co.uk, you can get those Alienware Andromeda X51s. You know, they're available. They're going anywhere between £700 and £1,300. So I don't know if they're kind of up to spec. I'd have to kind of have a look in deep. But just a cursory look, I didn't even know Amazon sold PCs on their website. So this is really interesting.
Yeah, and to see that they're getting VR ready is interesting and a good sign as well.
Yes, indeed.
And finally, the last piece of VR news we've got this week, is that the head of Sony's London studio is leaving to work on more VR, probably more varied and widespread VR. So this is the news that studio head Dave Ranyard has announced that he is leaving the London studio company to pursue other opportunities within VR. So the London studio is Sony's developer, and they've been responsible for games like or experiences like the VR experience, The Deep, which is they've been showing along with PSVR, where you're submerged in the water. The Heist, the London Heist demo, which is sort of inspired by The Getaway that Dave Ranyard also worked on. So he's worked there for 17 years. So yeah, he worked on The Getaway for PS2. I remember that. The hype behind that was amazing. It's a shame the game didn't really come to expectation for me anyway. But there was influences in that in the London Heist VR demo. He's worked on SingStar as well. He's been very much involved in like augmented reality, like the iToy peripheral, and he's been key with these experiences with PSVR. But obviously he's seen something within the VR industry itself, and he doesn't want to be specifically just working for Sony, so he's handing in his notice, and he's gonna move and leave from there and work in a wider and in a broader area with VR. So that's quite interesting. So he's obviously he must have seen potential and room to grow out in VR, and he maybe felt a little bit constrained just working on PSVR, and he wants to sort of spread his wings. He must see it as an opportunity. He must see VR as going places, mustn't he, to do that, to make that move.
Yes, absolutely. That's really interesting. That that he's breaking away from Sony, who are all in for the VR, just to kind of so he can immerse himself in kind of more technology. Maybe he's seeing something in Vive or Oculus that he's not seeing in PlayStation VR.
Yeah, it's certainly sounding like that. It's something that he just wants to go and spread his wings and work in other aspects of VR. And I can't really see that Oculus would snap him away from PSVR, because they're quite similar apart from raw power. So I'm thinking maybe it's experiences like Vive. He wants to sort of, maybe he's been touched by that immersive holodeck sort of experience. He's got some ideas there, and maybe he's going off to develop some stuff with there. But yeah, it's just interesting that he must have had a well established 17 years at Sony. I'm going to just speculate that he was on a cushy number. He's happy with what he's doing, and he could have carried on doing that for Sony for some time. But something that he's seen or thought about has made him think that it's better to leave Sony and go and create within the sort of wider arena of VR. And I think that's an optimistic message.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up, we just had a hot piece of news in the VR section. Oh, it sounds like it should have its own jingle, shouldn't it? A hot piece of news. Is it's just broke kind of while we've been podding, but Gabe Newell reveals how Steam VR games will go to the next level. This is an article that's on Tech Radar, and Valve and Unity are going to be joining forces to make development games for Steam VR easier. Gabe Newell announced today at Unity's Vision VR AR Summit in Hollywood. He said so far the partnerships include extra tools inside Unity's development platform and rendering plugins that should improve performance of games created for Steam VR. So this is where we start seeing Steam VR kind of edging out from everybody else. Unity is used on nearly 1/3 of all games markets, Tech Radar say, and partnerships should help greatly expand the reach of development tools and, more importantly, bring titles to Steam VR. Valve and Unity are both dedicated to creating the highest quality VR experience, says CEO of Unity John Ricciticello. And this means giving developers, I love that name, giving developers every possible chance to succeed. And our collaboration with Valve is designed to do just that. One of the things that you should probably cover your ears about, Darren, is that attendees of this morning's keynote all received a HTC Vive.
Oh, wow.
So that has just wrapped up. So that Developers Summit in Hollywood, California has just wrapped up, and we've got Unity. Oh, I love this breaking news. This is awesome. And we've got Unity working with Steam VR.
Wow, that's fantastic news. Well, hot off the press. Well done, Anthony, mate. We do need a new jingle for that. Anthony's breaking news desk.
Oh no, the pressure to break one every week. Well, I like reading that out. God, I should be like a correspondent over in California.
This is news just in. This is news just in, ladies and gentlemen.
This is I can have a finger in my ear like Gears of War. And but I do think that John Riccaticello has got the best name. So that's really interesting that Steam is Unity is partnering with Steam to enable games to come to Steam VR, HTC Vive a lot easier. So looks like you're backing the right horse there, sir.
Wow, I thought that they were happy with Source Engine 2. But yeah, that is great news, and I suppose time will tell if I back the right horse. Yeah, we'll see. I'm crossing my fingers. I don't want to be proved a mug.
No, by the sounds of it, in this revolution, you seem to be backing the strongest one. And on that news-breaking note, that's about it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoftheLostSpark.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at Lost Spark Pod, on YouTube, and you can also find us in the PS4 community, which is Gamers of the Lost Spark. Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me as Wythomator on PS4, Xbox One, and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Daz Whittam on Twitter.
Fantastic. From me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoftheLostSpark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. It helps the pod get noticed and onto that all-important main page. And with that, that's it for this week. Again, big thanks for listening. So, catch you later on. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.